Part 56. Infinite Script Killing. Author, Guo Shui Xiao. Chapter 573. The country is destroyed, the rivers are broken, and the blue sky, sun, and moon flags are no longer visible. The eldest princess walked calmly, and the originally strong death energy on her body turned into yang energy. Enlightened. The old Taoist looked at the scene with envy in his eyes. Even Master Shuigui had a complicated look on his face. Both of them were geniuses of the same era. How difficult is it to become enlightened? Not difficult. At least for both of them, enlightenment was not difficult. However, either due to changes in times or lack of luck, neither of them reached this point in the end. It is not an exaggeration to say that they gave up halfway. On the contrary, it is the eldest princess. She does not have unparalleled talent, but with a fierce and decisive character, she has chosen a path of death. Although it was extreme and eccentric, in the end, I got this opportunity. It made the two of them feel sad. Looking back, 300 years ago, where would my heart be? The eldest princess's phoenix robe danced, and all kinds of past memories appeared in her eyes. Extreme yin gives birth to yang, living towards death. The two forces of one yin and one yang are entangled, forming a Tao picture that appears behind the eldest princess. I saw the eldest princess raising her arm, and two strange lights, one black and one white, turned into a treasure map of the road and fell towards Thalia. Thalia looked solemn, she was not afraid of the eldest princess. Because he only attains enlightenment, there is nothing he can do about it. Enlightenment is just the first step. There are still roads to be followed, such as cutting off the path and combining the path. But the eldest princess was reincarnated from the dead, and her strength could no longer be calculated according to ordinary enlightened people. Thalia saw the Tai Chi diagram falling and had to increase her combat power. Black thunder and lightning wrapped around her fingertips. She raised her hand a little and the Tai Chi diagram in front of her was instantly frozen in mid-air. However, the eldest princess took another step forward and her eyes swept away all the nostalgia for the past. Since you have no homeland, then move forward and reopen the sun and the moon. She pushed with both hands, the divine sea surged under her feet, the waves hit the nine heavens, a yin and yang eye rotated behind her, the energy of life and death flowed, turning into a phoenix and pounced on Thalia. Good. Thalia was touched in her heart, looking at the eldest princess as if she saw her former self. But she didn't have the slightest idea of mercy. The thunder and lightning on her body stretched her fighting power to the realm where heaven and man become one and become the Tao. The thunder and lightning turned into a long dragon and greeted the eldest princess. The collision between the two enlightened people instantly caused the entire dungeon to be torn apart and collapsed. I'm not going to play anymore. When Oliver saw this, he turned around and ran away, for fear of being affected. It's unreasonable for women to fight. Standing aside might cause disaster. Boom, a bolt of thunder spread out and was about to hit Art's head. Buzz. A sword cry suddenly sounded, and the sword light was in front of Art, and the sword actually split the thunder in front of him. Su Tong was seen holding the pure yang sword, standing beside Art. Count me in. After saying that, Su Tong waved the pure yang sword in his hand, and with the blade swung, the yang energy from his body poured into the pure yang sword crazily. His strength has been greatly reduced since his soul has returned to his original position, and he is far from reaching the level of an enlightened person. But the pure yang sword in his hand is indeed a real artifact. As Su Tong waved, layers of scorching light were seen rippling on the sword's edge. I don't care if you have thousands of laws in the world, I will decide the world with one sword. In an instant, the words of the Chun Yang sword code flashed through Su Tong's mind, and Su Tong activated the only active skill of the Chun Yang sword, deciding everything with one sword. In an instant, the light in front of his eyes was dazzling, and the pure yang sword in his hand burst out with scorching light, turning into a giant sword and flying out of the air, cutting straight into the depths of the thunder. Boom! The entire dungeon collapsed, and the entire Inquisition also began to sink. Large tracts of land cracked and collapsed. Frightened, Dosi and others hurriedly fled. Several people ran more than 10 meters away. When they looked back, they saw that the entire farm had disappeared, replaced by a huge inclined pit. On the pothole, a figure was hanging in mid-air, with blood beads oozing from his arms. At the same time, a shrill alarm began to sound in Su Tong's prop book. Ding! An illegal power has been detected in this script. Warning! An illegal power has been detected in this script, please check it immediately. Warning! There are illegal forces in this scenario world, and non-player members will be forcibly cleared out of this scenario world. Warning! There is an illegal force in this script world, and the ruling is in progress. In view of the violations in this script world, all tasks will be terminated. Until the end of the ruling. The prompts from the prop booklet kept sounding. Thalia glanced at her blood-oozing arm, her eyes relaxed a lot, and she looked at the eldest princess. Little girl, if you have a chance, my sister will play with you next time. After saying that, Thalia glanced meaningfully at Su Tong, who was standing with a sword, and opened his mouth without spitting out a word. But Su Tong was stunned for a moment, and then he became thoughtful. Don't go. The eldest princess still wanted to fight again. She saw that Thalia was suppressing her power and wanted to use this to prove her own way. But Thalia's body had been wrapped in a force, and then she was forcibly disappeared from everyone. Humph. Consider him lucky. Mr. Tai snorted coldly, and then squinted at the girl in front of him, but he has not completed the promotion task. He is still just a player under me. He can escape this time, but he cannot escape the next time. As for you, according to the bet. Not necessarily. Aimee raised her head and pointed at the crystal ball. The gamble is not over yet, he has not lost yet. Mr. Tai took a closer look, and sure enough, because the script world detected Thalia's violation, all tasks were terminated. Seeing this, Mr. Tai frowned. Try to use your own strength to try to get the task into the accounting stage. But when his hand touched the crystal ball, it was bounced away by a force, and he received a warning from the script world. There are serious flaws in the script world this time, and they are being corrected on their own. Hearing the prompt, Mr. Tai immediately had an extremely bad premonition in his heart. He tried to use his authority as host to fix the flaws, but was still rejected by the script space. This made Mr. Tai's bad feeling get stronger and stronger. He glanced at the time. Even if the loophole is repaired, it won't take long. When this sentence comes from Mr. Tai's mouth, it inevitably gives people a feeling of self-encouragement. Aimee was always sitting aside smiling and saying nothing. Time is passing minute by minute. The eldest princess returned the command arrow to Su Tong. She had become a Taoist and needed to go back as soon as possible to consolidate her victory. Thank you for helping me this time. If you have time, come to my place and let's have a good chat. You can see that your master is already waving to you. The eldest princess said with a smile. However, Su Tong stepped back and did not look back at all. He stared at the eldest princess' buttocks. Next time. Even though he knew that this girl couldn't hurt him, being stared at by her eyes always made Su Tong feel uncomfortable. Lilith seemed to have the same look when she looked at him. Snort. Seeing that Su Tong didn't take the bait, the eldest princess pouted and walked back to the gate. After Su Tong dispersed to pay homage to Shang Kao, he glanced at Art, who was standing aside, and found that this guy was still stunned in the same place. The scene just now was too shocking for him. Can a mortal body have power comparable to that of a god? Let's go. Don't stand still, this place will collapse if you don't move. Su Tong called Art, grabbed his arm, stepped on the broken stone steps, and quickly jumped out of the dungeon that had mostly collapsed. As soon as he came out of the dungeon, the sun shone on Su Tong's body. The evil god's ritual has been interrupted at this moment. Those who were demonized were also drawn back to hell as the other world shrank. As for those who were not demonized, it seemed like they had a nightmare. Team leader Dorsey and others rushed over immediately when they saw Art. After making sure that Art was okay, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Art didn't explain anything, just hugged the team members in his arms. "It's over." As he said that, he passed out immediately. Even with the support of the pill given by Su Tong, the tight heartstrings for such a long time had exhausted Art's energy to the extreme. Seeing this, everyone had to rush to calm him down. Then he looked at Su Tong behind him. Although Su Tong has been expelled from the title of honorary bishop by Evelyn, the matter of the evil god's sacrifice will definitely be known to the church. At that time, the church may restore his title of honorary bishop regardless of any considerations. So at this moment, everyone looked at Su Tong, as if they wanted to find a backbone. But Su Tong had already summoned Big Fatty. He lay down tiredly in Big Fatty's arms, waved to them, and directed Big Fatty to leave quickly. "Wait, where are you going?" Seeing Su Tong leave, Chin and others immediately shouted, "Go home." The voice still echoed in their ears, and Su Tong gradually disappeared from their sight. For a moment, Chin and others looked at each other. In the team channel, Untu and Zhao San heard tired inquiries. After Qiao Qian left, they destroyed the altar and interrupted the evil god's ritual. It is said that their main mission has been completed. But the script world has never carried out the task of calculating them. This was the first time they encountered this situation. Su Tong did not answer the two people's inquiries. Riding on Big Fatty's body, he returned to Morgan's house. Before he entered the house, he saw a familiar carriage outside. Gandalf was sitting in the carriage and fell asleep, unaware of what was happening. He was still mumbling about getting married. "A skilled beauty as my wife." A group of wild dogs came from nowhere and were quietly eating his dinner. When he opened the door, he saw Mr. Morgan sitting under the apple tree with a dull expression. He seemed to have not yet awakened from the influence of the evil god's ritual. He was holding a notebook in his hand, and it seemed that he was writing a diary. Su Tong opened the door and saw Qiao Qian sitting on the sofa in the living room, as if waiting for him to come back. "Woof woof." Seeing Su Tong, Deli immediately raised his tail and bared his teeth at Su Tong. It wasn't until Qiao put her hand on Deli's head that she calmed Deli's nervousness. Su Tong sat down on the sofa and looked at Qiao Qian's nervous eyes. "I'm leaving." Qiao was stunned for a moment and then said, "Are you coming back?" "Not coming back." Su Tong shook his head. "Actually." Qiao Qian grasped the hem of her skirt with both hands, and when she was about to say something, Su Tong stretched out his hand to her. "Let's go." Looking at the palm stretched out towards her, Josie raised her head. "Gandalf said that there is a beautiful place that I have never had the chance to visit. I am leaving anyway, so let's go and see it together before leaving." Qiao looked at the palm stretched out in front of her. After hesitating for a few seconds, she nodded, stood up and followed Su Tong out the door. "Woof woof woof." Deli jumped up and surrounded him, making low growling sounds. It even woke up Mr. Morgan under the tree. "Huh." Mr. Morgan blinked and looked at Su Tong and Qiao Qian who were walking out of the door. However, he did not call out to them. Instead, as if he suddenly had inspiration, he quickly drew these messy lines in his notes. Inside, you can only see two confused back figures. "Gandalf, wake up." The two got into the carriage and Su Tong called Gandalf. "I'm sorry, Master, I was too sleepy just now. Where are we going?" Gandalf looked back at Su Tong and Qiao sitting in the carriage and asked. "Go to the secret garden you mentioned." When Gandalf mentioned the secret garden, he immediately became energetic. "Haha, You should have gone there a long time ago, although the season is not very good. After Gandalf finished speaking, he silently added in his mind, "Hey, that's weird." He waved the riding crop and slapped the horse on the butt. At this time, Deli also followed, with his forelimbs on the edge of the carriage, wanting to jump up together. Seeing this, Su Tong frowned and glanced at the wild dogs on the roadside. I don't know what I thought of, but suddenly stretched out my hand and grabbed the back of Deli's neck. "I'll give you a good thing." As he spoke, a bottle of perfume appeared in Su Tong's hand. It was a special bottle of perfume given to Su Tong by Lei. As long as he sprayed it on, he would immediately emit a unique fragrance that neither men nor women could resist. Zzz. The perfume was sprayed on Deli's nose, and the pungent smell instantly made Deli start sneezing. Woof woof woof. Deli roared in a low voice, but soon felt a chill in his buttocks, and saw that several plump wild dogs had surrounded him behind him. Woof 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 woof. Looking at Deli, who was drowned in the wild dogs, Su Tong smiled knowingly and threw the perfume back into the prop book. The carriage drove slowly out of Amontes. Because winter is approaching, the plants on the road are no longer green. But as the carriage walked along the rugged path and up the mountain, the surrounding scenery gradually began to become brighter and fresher. The cool breeze blew on their cheeks. Looking at the port in the distance, their mood gradually became happier. "Where are you going?" Qiao Qian leaned on Su Tong's shoulder, her eyes full of confusion. "Compared to the human world, hell is only sulfur and magma. Go where you want to go. There are many places outside the world that I want to see." "And you?" Josie looked towards the sky and said in a joking tone, "I want to go to heaven." Heaven. Su Tong couldn't help but be a little surprised by this answer. "Yes, go to heaven. It's ridiculous. A devil actually wants to go to heaven." Josie looked at the sky. Perhaps it was for this reason that she obeyed Aratia's call. It's just that this wish is a bit ridiculous to her. Thinking of this, Qiao 11 couldn't help but laugh at herself. "It seems I can only go back to hell." After saying that, Josie suddenly felt something being stuffed into her hand. All I saw was a badge branded with the authority of the Pope, and a strange pill. "I'll help you. If you take this elixir, you can go to heaven. With this thing in hand, the angels must open the door for you." Su Tong grinned and handed her the Bilodo Dan and the Pope's badge. Qiao Qian looked at these two things and looked at Su Tong dumbfounded for a moment. Although she didn't recognize Bilodo Dan, she knew that the value of this thing was definitely extraordinary. "Why?" "Because I'm unhappy." Su Tong raised his head and looked at the sky, raising his middle finger towards the person watching. Since he arranged to become a member of the Morgan family, in the end he had to kill people from the Morgan family to complete the promotion task. This was not the ending he liked. He likes the script world very much, because every identity and every story here gives him unprecedented satisfaction. But if he loses the power of choice, everything will be boring. Qiao 11 stared blankly at Su Tong standing in front of him. The sunshine had never been so bright on his face, and his eyes gradually lost focus. He stared blankly at Su Tong, turning around and putting the pill in her mouth. Madness. In front of the crystal ball, a smile appeared on Mr. Tai's lips, but he felt stupid for Su Tong's behavior. The fruit was clearly close at hand, but as long as he stretched out his hand to pick it, the fruit would fall on his hands. It would be foolish to give up. "Hurry up, settle the settlement quickly. How long will it take?" Mr. Tai silently stared at the two people in the crystal ball, and he couldn't help but start to resent why the settlement period had not yet entered. However, the next second, a cold reminder sounded, and the expression on Mr. Ling Tai's face froze instantly. Ding! There is a major flaw in the world of this script. It has been repaired and the task is being settled. In view of the abnormality in the player's promotion task, the task conditions have been modified. The mission to kill Josie has ended and has been modified to fulfill Josie's wish. You have completed the promotion mission. Do you want to return? Accompanied by a prompt sound. Mr. Tai was stunned for a moment. After being stunned for a few seconds, the expression on his face began to distort, and every vein was beating like a worm. Asshole, why is this? This is cheating. Cheating. Mr. Tai roared angrily, letting out a hoarse roar. Aren't you also cheating? At this time, the girl in front of me slowly stood up and looked at Mr. Tai calmly. God, you can hide it, but you can't bully it? Does this sentence sound familiar? Mr. Tai raised his eyebrows slightly and looked sideways at Ame. He seemed to have grasped something key in an instant, and his pupils tightened. You did it on purpose. Yes, Ame did not deny it. From the time you started betting with me, you were no longer betting on me, but on the world of scripts. You arrange the tasks for this plot, and the script world will make corresponding compensation. In other words, when you twist the crystal and directly intervene in the script world, even if it is only a very weak action, the script world will make the same action. As you said, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You want to win, but you also don't want the script world to discover traces of your actions. Where in the world can you do such a cheap thing? Mr. Tai's expression suddenly changed, and there was murderous intent in his eyes. Thalia. This bitch, she deliberately increased her combat power and exposed herself. With Thalia's strength, even if she faced the enlightened eldest princess and Su Tong, even if she couldn't kill Su Tong, she could easily escape. But she revealed that she was too powerful and did not kill Su Tong. Mr. Tai didn't notice anything wrong at the time, but now that he thinks about it, he should understand. No wonder Ame proposed such tempting conditions at first, just to avoid any punishment for Thalia. Ahem, I'm sorry, I really don't understand this, but you should first think about what you would do if Su Tong initiated arbitration and explain it to the superiors. Ame coughed twice, and walked out of the room, ignoring Mr. Tai's extremely sad expression. Da-da-da. The carriage was moving forward slowly, and the forest in front of them gradually became brighter. Mr. Kevin, Miss Josie, welcome to the most beautiful place in Amontes. Gandalf opened his arms, closed his eyes, and deeply smelled the thick fragrance of ink orchids in the air. Wherever he looked, there were mountains of dark red ink orchids fluttering in majesty. Mr. Kevin, Miss Josie. Gandalf got no response from the two of them, and thought that they were already shocked by the scene in front of them. Just as Gandalf was about to turn around, a white light flashed past. The picture in front of me gradually freezes, and the story seems to be frozen in a notebook with messy lines at this moment. Morgan's diary, they didn't come back today, but I'm not worried about them, because one day they will come back to this place, this home. Su Tong couldn't help but smile as he looked at the frozen scene. Although the final result of Kevin and Josie was not mentioned in the picture, this warm picture was enough to fill his dissatisfaction with the world of this script. The screen continued to flash. Art was promoted to the new Inquisitor, but after that, he began to re-examine the church. On the day he took office, Mr. Morgan also took a new wife. A few years later, the old and strong Mr. Morgan got a new heir. Become the heir to the Morgan family. It is said that on the day the child was born, Barrent, who had been promoted to archbishop, personally came to preside over the child's baptism. In the picture, the person holding the child seemed to be the old butler Shar. His eyes were full of indescribable love, and it was not until a few years later that he died peacefully in his sleep. At the end of the scene, the person who surprised Su Tong the most was Gandalf. Gandalf did not remain in Amontes. When he was packing his things, he discovered that the bird was Lei. He had left it for Su Tong, but Su Tong had always thrown it on the carriage. Guided by the bird, he found a paradise and married a beautiful bride there. Various pictures appeared in front of Su Tong one by one. It disappeared until the end, but the much anticipated settlement link did not appear. In the darkness, Mr. Tai with white hair suddenly appeared in front of Su Tong, with a slight smile on his lips. Although in Su Tong's eyes, the smile looked particularly fake, Mr. Tai still maintained his smile. That gentlemanly demeanor. "Mr. Su, I think it is necessary for us to have a good chat." Mr. Tai squinted his eyes. Although the fists behind his back were creaking, the smile on his face was somewhat flattering. End of this volume. Infinite Script Killing. Author, Guo Shui Gan Xiao. Chapter 574. Su Tong was not surprised at all by Mr. Tai's appearance and nodded, "We want to have a good chat, after all." Su Tong looked sideways at the Mr. Taiwan in front of him and said meaningfully, "I have suffered a great loss." Upon hearing this, Mr. Tai's mouth couldn't help but twitch a few times. With a wave of his hand, sofas, tables, and chairs appeared out of thin air in front of him, and there was even a furnace of incense. The light fragrance could relax people's spirits. After Mr. Tai signaled Su Tong to sit down, he spread his hands helplessly. "I know that there are some small flaws in the script world this time, but I have tried my best to fix them. For example, your promotion mission, it couldn't have been done originally." As he spoke, Mr. Tai shook the goblet in his hand with his fingers, and then observed Su Tong's expression in the mirror of the cup. "Oh, so it was you who helped me." Su Tong pretended to be suddenly enlightened, but his words were full of frivolity. "Of course, I admit that I have selfish motives, such as Thalia. She asked me to allow her to join in and take away the gun sword. That weapon is very important to her." Mr. Tai looked embarrassed. On one side, he seemed to be admitting his mistake, but on the other side, he placed all the responsibility on Thalia. If it were an ordinary person, looking at Mr. Tai's embarrassed expression, he might actually believe it. "But don't worry, Thalia will pay for her mistakes, and as the host of this event, I am also to blame, so I am willing to make a special compensation to you." As Mr. Tai spoke, a box appeared in front of Su Tong. Click. The locks on both sides of the box popped open, and a white mask appeared inside the box. The mask looked ordinary at first glance, without even the slightest detail of glyphs, but Su Tong took a look and found that the mask seemed to be surrounded by a layer of strange fluorescence. "Barton's mask, this is a unique prop card, and it is a set prop card. With this mask, you can add a bond to the serial title you already own for free." Mr. Tai gave a brief introduction. The so-called set of prop cards refers to a complete set of magical prop cards with a separate system. Once put together, the effect is as powerful as an artifact. Just like the patent mask, there are also patent bracelets, patent belts. The attribute effects of the three prop cards are the same, but if a person holds the Barton suit, he can activate the hidden attributes of the three prop cards, and all bonds will be add 1. Then even Su Tong's retrograde sequence can easily gather all the bonds and unlock the ultimate skill. I have to say that what Mr. Tai took out was very tempting. But Su Tong just glanced at it and felt bored for a moment. He took out the hookah pipe from the prop book and put it in his hand, ignoring Mr. Tai's offer of compensation. Smoke clouds were swirling, and a thick puff of green smoke came out of Su Tong's mouth. The pungent smell made Mr. Tai frown. At this time, Su Tong's face suddenly poked his head out of the thick smoke, staring directly at Mr. Tai. "I want to apply for arbitration." Mr. Tai was startled and glanced at the Barton mask on the table. "Isn't this compensation enough? You know, you can complete the promotion task all because of my help. If you apply for arbitration, the arbitration will re-verify script, your promotion." "It doesn't matter." Su Tong interrupted Mr. Tai. If he really valued the promotion mission so much, he would not choose to give up killing Chiaoqi. All problems could be solved with just one sword. But he didn't do that. Su Tong's eyes gradually became sharper, like an eagle staring at its prey. If the result of the arbitration is to cancel my promotion task, then I think I would like to see what kind of punishment this person who wants to kill me should receive. You may be mistaken. No one is trying to kill you, it's just Thalia who's acting up. Mr. Tai responded expressionlessly, but the glass of red wine in his hand had been on his fingertips for a long time. Then I want to see how the script world will punish the staff. I have never seen such a good thing. Su Tong crossed his legs and became more and more expectant. Seeing that he was so incompetent, Mr. Tai became more and more annoyed, but a friendly smile gradually appeared on his face. Child, please be merciful and merciful. I will double Thalia's punishment. As for compensation, I can add some more for you, such as script points or some prop cards. Mr. Tai looks like a peacemaker, making people less angry. As the saying goes, don't hit the smiling person. But Mr. Tai was still wrong. Su Tong is not the kind of person who tells you about the world. He stood up and shouted around, I want to apply for arbitration. Boom. The cup in Mr. Tai's hand fell to the ground, and he changed his smile from before, if you don't drink a toast, you will be fined. Do you really think I can't do anything to you? As long as you don't settle the content of the script world, you are not a certified player. No right to apply for arbitration. At this point, Mr. Tai no longer wanted to tangle with Su Tong any longer. He stared at Su Tong with his eyes. For the last time, my patience is limited. As Mr. Tai's voice fell, everything around him turned into powder. Su Tong's voice was clear and crisp, and he calmly said two words to Mr. Tai, who was on the verge of anger, I bet. Betting? What are you betting on? Bet you don't dare. Upon hearing this, Mr. Tai's pupils shrank slightly and he raised his palm to slap Su Tong. Suddenly, the time in front of Su Tong's eyes seemed to start to slow down, and Su Tong's pupils seemed to be able to clearly see the gradual distortion of space under this palm. The terrifying power was completely beyond Su Tong's understanding of power. But he watched helplessly, and even had a smile on his face. Rumble, rumble. The roar of thunder echoed in Su Tong's ears, as if just a moment ago, countless fierce horses were galloping in front of him. It was more like you were standing beside the train track, watching the train running at full speed, brushing against you. A centimeter away from the tip of the nose was a whistling irritation. But this slap always stopped in front of Su Tong's cheek and did not slap it. Mr. Tai's expression changed several times in an instant, showing both helplessness and anger. Su Tong stretched out a finger and gently moved the hand in front of him, as if recalling something. My teacher when I was a child once told me a story when an elephant sees an ant, it will just ignore it because the ant cannot pose any threat to it. If the ant makes the elephant an eyesore, the elephant will lightly kick it away. The ants were trampled to death. As he said that, he looked at the gentleman in front of him, you are the elephant and I am the ant. But you didn't trample me to death. There is only one explanation. You don't dare. Being smart. Mr. Tai snorted with a smile on his face. I want to apply for arbitration. However, Su Tong's words made the arrogance on Mr. Tai's face disappear instantly. This time, his attitude suddenly softened a lot. Can we still talk about this matter? Yes, Su Tong nodded, we can negotiate when the compensation is in place, otherwise there is no need to negotiate. After hearing this, Mr. Tai felt relieved. As long as we can still talk, that would be the best. Tell me what compensation you want. Su Tong actually took out a calculator and started calculating on it. You have to pay for mental damages. Seeing Su Tong press the 4 zeros on the calculator, Mr. Tai's heart tightened, and a bad premonition came over him. But he still gritted his teeth and nodded to admit it. Then I'll give you 50,000 script points, I won't ask for more. As he spoke, Su Tong continued to calculate, You also have to pay for the loss of my props, right? In addition, in order to complete the task, I lost all the below Dan passed down by my family. You have to compensate for this. I have this thing, I can give you too. It's different. This is an antique passed down from my ancestors. 5 of them, give me script points. One is not much more than 5,000. Su Tong waved his hand. Diddy, diddy, diddy. Seeing Su Tong's fingers quickly pressing the number keys on the calculator, Mr. Tai couldn't help but complain, is this thing still an antique? Of course, the treasure my master passed down to me is not an antique, what is it? Su Tong looked like he was looking at an idiot and rolled his eyes at Mr. Tai. Mr. Tai's throat was so tight that he felt like a fishbone was stuck in his respiratory tract. Also, I originally had some side quests that I had not completed, such as the Druid side, but I didn't even go there. I finally risked my life to play it, just to see the unseen scenery, right? In the end, I didn't see it at all, you are responsible for this. Mr. Tai's fingers rattled. Su Tong waved his hand and typed another 5-digit number on the keys. Huh? Are you angry? Su Tong looked up at Mr. Tai as if he noticed something. More than just being angry, looking at the numbers on the calculator, Mr. Tai felt like killing someone. But he still had to put on a calm look on his face, pretending to be generous, and said, "No, these compensations are very reasonable." "That's good, I'll continue counting." "Continue." "Of course, I worked hard and completed the task. The church awarded me a badge of honor. No more. This thing can make a wish with the angel. No matter how outrageous it is, the angel must complete it. You see, this my badge is gone, do you want to compensate me?" Su Tong said that he would reach out his hand and continue to type on the calculator. Enough. Mr. Tai finally couldn't bear it anymore. This was no longer a big talk of a lion, but a way to get rich overnight and gain freedom. He immediately interrupted Su Tong to continue calculating. "Let's just go with the number you just calculated, 70,000 script points. As for the church's badge of honor, this thing is yours. I want to apply for redundancy." Before Mr. Tai could finish speaking, Su Tong shouted to the top of his head again. Mr. Tai's eyes were red. He had never seen anyone so unreasonable. In his heart, he wanted to cut Su Tong into pieces, but he still suppressed his anger and changed his words. "Listen to me, what I mean is that you can go to my collection and choose any prop as compensation, which can be collected by me. Props, you will never be disappointed. This is already the biggest concession Mr. Taiwan can give. Although the price is heavy, compared with the punishment, it is still worth it." "Oh well." Su Tong's face was full of grievances, as if he had suffered a big loss, which invisibly increased Mr. Tai's hatred for Su Tong. "Then let's start the settlement. After the settlement, take me to pick out gifts from your collection." "Ahem, compensation." Su Tong picked up the red wine in his hand and paid a slight tribute to the god of wealth in front of him. "Then let's settle it." Mr. Tai no longer has the energy to argue with this guy about the details. "I am still thinking about how to fill this hole with 70,000 script points, and my own treasure collection." I felt a little upset for a moment. Oh, and Aimee, this little bitch won the bet. She knew that Thalia had deliberately betrayed her, but he couldn't punish her. Even now that Aimee has free time, he still owes her 100 years. I remember that at that time, I was still high-spirited and joking. I couldn't have my cake and eat it too, and it was mostly a waste of water. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, these words would actually apply to him. He had lost before, but this was the first time he had lost so completely. When the gentleman in Taiwan was covering his little liver and moaning in vain. Su Tong has also entered the accounting stage. Congratulations to the player, the rewards for completing the promotion scenario task are being settled. The script main task 1 please start your performance has been completed and 200 script points have been obtained. Script branch 2, cleaning the dungeon, the task is completed, and 500 script points are obtained. Script main line 2, demon hunting assessment mission completed, received extremely high evaluation, and received 800 script points. Script main line 3, clue mission completed, 200 script points obtained. Scenario main line 4, evil god sacrifice mission completed, 200 script points obtained. Special mission 1, 2, 3, 4 kill Andre investigate a Montez hospital escape from pursuit kill Josie has been completed, and 5,000 script points have been obtained. As the pleasant prompts continued to sound, Su Tong was surprised to find that there were so many points for the script. In the past, a main mission only had a measly 70 script points, but now it actually started with 200 points. Especially the Demon Hunter, which actually gave me 800 script points. Is it because after the difficulty of certification level scripts increases, the basic script points obtained also increase? When he saw the last special task settled, which directly brought him 5,000 script points, Su Tong could no longer hide the smile on his face. This wave alone brought me 6,900 script points. Adding the remaining script points on hand, my current script points have exceeded the 9,000 mark. In an instant, her waist bulged out and she was so fat that she was dripping with fat. And the settlement is not over yet and is still going on. You have obtained the prop card, Sacred Sanction Technique, please check it yourself for details. You have obtained an item card. Please inquire for details about Hunter. You have obtained the prop card. Please inquire for details about Breath of Nature. You get the item card. Josie's Kiss, please check it yourself for details. Congratulations on obtaining the special achievement Demon Hater. Please check for details. You have obtained the special achievement Chaotic Sequence Lawful 1, please check it yourself. Prop cards appear in front of you, 4 prop cards, and 2 title cards. This amount still makes Su Tong very dissatisfied. After all, the last script world also had this amount. This time it is more difficult. Why only give this amount? But then he thought about it. In this script world, he had harvested an artifact like the Pure Yang Sword, and even understood the Pure Yang Sword Sutra. It was hard to overstate his rapid growth in strength. Thinking of this, his heart suddenly became more balanced. Huh? Another serial title card. At this time, he noticed that among the prop cards he had harvested, there was also a title prop card, which belonged to the chaotic sequence. This kind of sequence prop card often has the effect of bond bonus. Thinking of this, Su Tong couldn't help but look forward to it. Different bond title cards do not affect each other. There is no need to pursue a complete bond, and the effect of using the bond bonus of several sequences of title cards is very obvious. Just when Su Tong wanted to take a look at the title prop card, the prompt sounded again. Congratulations on completing the promotion task and becoming a certified player. You are currently certified player LV1 and have obtained the following privileges. 1. Certified players can obtain part of the next scenario world information 20 days in advance. 2. If you are not satisfied with the script world next time, you can apply for a replacement. Every script can only be used once, it will not be used after expiration, and it cannot be accumulated. 3. Certified players can enter the exhibition area at any time and gain access to the advanced exhibition area. 4. If certified players find any flaws in the script, they can apply for arbitration. 3,000 script points each time will be returned if the punching is successful, and will be deducted if the punching fails. 5. Hatred authority is open. You can pay a specific price to specify the script world where your enemy is. You can only use it once after 5 script worlds, and you have to pay a high price. If a non-certified player's script comes to you, you will need to pay double, and 2/4 of your own prop cards will be randomly sealed. Any prop card active skills will cost you double script points until you leave this world. The authority of certified players will increase with the level of certified players. The prompt sound finally disappeared until now. After Su Tong carefully read the permissions of all certified players, he had to sigh in his heart, no wonder. No wonder that when the certified player came, he didn't immediately go on a killing spree. It turns out that a large part of his strength was suppressed by the script space. Otherwise, if I wanted to survive from his hands and persist to the White Horse Temple, I'm afraid it would be too extravagant. After the previous prompt ended, Su Tong was about to be ejected into the Script Killing Experience Center. But today was an exception, he remained where he was. Hee, you are quite lucky. The title of Chaos Sequence is one of the 3 most difficult sequences and one of the title cards that cannot be synthesized. The conditions for completion are very strict. If you accept my suggestion early, this Bart mask will allow you to enjoy the bonding effect early. Mr. Tai sat on the sofa with a lazy look on his face. A faint fluorescent light flashed in his eyes, and he could see all of Su Tong's rewards this time. When he saw the sequence title card, he couldn't help but point to the Bart mask on the table with a half smile, and said to Su Tong with a smile, Chaos System is the most lethal sequence besides time, space, and space. The implication may also be to remind Su Tong not to waste time anymore, just choose Bart's mask as compensation, and you will definitely make a profit. Hearing this, Su Tong called out the prop book and took a look at the title card. Chaos Sequence for Lawful Ones. This title is Chaos Sequence. After carrying this title, in the script world you enter, except for the non-hatred camp, the reputation of other neutral camps will reach friendly. Title Skill 1, Lawful 1. There is no need to consume script points. Those who hold the title will automatically become a Chaos player and remove their own special damage bonus. The general idea is that it is a special bonus that protects dark bodies from light damage. 2 Bond, all power is converted into chaos damage. 3 Bonds, obtain Chaos Sequence skill, Chaos Destroyer. Note, as someone in the dark, there is a force maintaining balance and order, but only those who are in chaos can influence their own position. This title prop card has only 3 bonding effects, which means that as long as you gather 3 Chaos Sequence prop cards, you can get all the bonding effects. But Mr. Ting Tai seems to think that the sequence of prop cards cannot be synthesized. So from his own perspective, there are only 3 ways to obtain this prop card. One is in the script world, the second is something like the retrograde badge, and the third is the Barton mask in front of me. Hee, but I still want to see your collection. Su Tong did not refuse directly, but he also did not agree directly. Well, you troublesome guy. Mr. Tai patted his thigh helplessly and stood up from the sofa, preparing to take Su Tong out of the settlement space and back to the script studio. Etc. At this time, Su Tong suddenly picked up the mask and held it in his hand for a while to observe. Have you changed your mind? Seeing this, Mr. Tai felt relieved and said with a smile, believe me, as one of the owners of the Script Killing Experience Center, I can guarantee with my personality that the compensation I will give you will never let you down. Su Tong nodded thoughtfully, yes, I don't deny this. As he spoke, he raised his head, looked at Mr. Tai, and put the mask in front of him. I have one last question for you. Please tell me. Mr. Tai, sit down on the sofa again. Anyway, it has been delayed for so long, and I don't care about the time. Seeing Su Tong playing with the Barton mask in his hand, he felt that he could still work harder, so that his collection would be saved from loss. It's not a big problem, I just want to make sure that I am a certified player now. Right. Mr. Tai nodded, but suddenly his pupils tightened and the mask suddenly slipped from Su Tong's hand. Under the mask, Su Tong showed a sarcastic smile, then, I want to apply for arbitration. The moment the words fell, Mr. Tai's face changed drastically. A cold reminder sounded instantly, and a terrifying force rushed into his consciousness like a tide, swallowing up all his thoughts. This force was like a group of unreasonable bandits rushing into his consciousness, forcibly reviewing the entire script world. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinite Script Killing. Author, Guo Shui Xiao. Chapter 576. Arbitration has begun, is being judged, is being judged. As the host of the script world, Su Tong was the first person to be interrogated once arbitration was initiated. As one of the 12 shop owners, Mr. Tai is the guide for all non-certified players. In a strict sense, his identity is more like the dean of an academy. All certified players who come out from him are his disciples to a certain extent. But in the face of higher-level forces, they ignore this relationship. Mr. Tai's lofty status and power were like a grey dog in an instant. This power penetrated directly into Mr. Tai's mind. Read his memories, his emotions, and how the entire script world works this time. Found a mistake, found a mistake, found a mistake. There were continuous prompts, and all the mistakes made by Mr. Tai in hosting the script world were directly screenshot and displayed in front of Su Tong. For example, he ordered Talia to enter the script world as a player, and changed the promotion script world to killing mode. The purpose was to ensure that Talia could forcibly deprive the source after killing Su Tong. In addition, Mr. Tai made many changes to the difficulty of the main mission this time. The difficulty level is twice as high as Su Tong's original promotion mission. Because Thalia, as a non-player member, must suppress her own strength at all times, Mr. Tai increased the difficulty and ordered Thalia to help Su Tong. Even compensation was made to a certain extent in some places. For example, Lilith, who should have discovered Su Tong's arrival in her territory immediately, did not notice it at all. There is also the power of faith. This thing should not have appeared in the script world, but it was retained by Mr. Tai. The purpose is the final mission. Su Tong got the spear sword and couldn't go back to stop the evil god's ritual. He could only use his soul to leave the body and use the power of faith to activate the power of the spear sword. For this reason, a special weapon was given to Thalia, specifically designed to restrain the power of the soul, and could directly force Su Tong's soul away. There are also many small details problems that have also been exposed one by one. For example, Su Tong's identity issue, and Druid Lei's kindness towards Su Tong. These small details are also the work of Mr. Tai, but he did not mean well, but because he changed many plots and increased the difficulty of Su Tong. He needed to make balanced compensation in some places to cover up his own traces. These mistakes, including Mr. Tai's thoughts at the time, were completely and ruthlessly exposed, completely blowing away Mr. Tai's last fig leaf. Found an error, found an error, found an error. The cold voice, like a machine without any emotion, caught all of Mr. Tai's mistakes directly. This method made Mr. Tai's face turn red and embarrassed. Just like a prostitute, if you are caught in the anti-pornography industry, you not only have to admit your mistakes, but also all the details when recording, such as body position, minutes, etc., must be found out and recorded for you one by one. At this time, a prompt sounded in Su Tong's ear. The arbitration is successful and 3,000 arbitration fees will be returned. In view of the major violations in this script world, the host of this script world will be severely sanctioned. As soon as the voice fell, Su Tong saw the face of the gentleman in front of him turn pale. Then his chest began to swell involuntarily, like a roast duck that had been injected with air. The chest gradually became rounded, and Su Tong could even hear the sound of bones and flesh tearing under his skin. But that's not the end of it. Envy King Tian's law, All immortal officials, emperors, and emperors should immediately transfer their registration to the immortal CAO when they encounter living people. Those who violate it will be sentenced to 4 years in prison. If the number of days is too many, they will be demoted to the third official position. Based on this precept, if players are prevented from completing promotion tasks by illegal means, they will be fined for 4 years and demoted 3 levels. Envkingtianlu, the gods and officials envoys insult the text and play tricks, and those who are superior or inferior will be punished accordingly. Based on this precept, manipulate the script space, twist the plot details, and add bone-breaking cramps 30 times. Envkingtianlu, the gods and officials are in high positions and exert power. Those who know the law and violate it will suffer from 3 corpses and 9 insects. Based on this commandment, the additional punishment will be the pain of bone-worm craving for 10 years. He was punished for several crimes at the same time, sentenced to heavenly punishment, 3 sleepless nights, broken heart and bones, and interminable burial at sea for 17 years. No. Hearing such a punishment, even Mr. Tai panicked instantly. He cut off his 3 senses. This meant erasing his sense of hearing, vision, and taste. A broken heart bone was an iron nail pierced through the heart. The iron nail was broken every once in a while. It will change into a state, either fire, ice, or insect bites, endless, making you feel the pain that makes you want to live. And the most terrifying thing is to send yourself into the infinite sea and seal it for 17 years. You must know that in that ghost place, even the gods will go crazy if they enter. If you go there alone for 17 years, wouldn't it cost you your own life? Thinking of this gentleman, his face became even paler, and he looked at Su Tong with a look that made him want to tear him into pieces. He was careless, thinking that Su Tong was calculating, and the lion opened his mouth and bit off a large piece of fat from his body. But he didn't expect that he would give up. If he had known it, he would have signed the contract first. In fact, it is no wonder that Mr. Tai is careless. After all, even if you apply for arbitration and get some compensation, how can the amount of compensation be compared with the price you pay? 70,000 script points is a windfall that certified players may not be able to come up with immediately. Especially for a newly promoted certified player, this amount of money is enough to rapidly increase his strength in a short period of time, and even directly increase his combat effectiveness to the level of a quasi-first-line certified player. Who else would be willing to give up? Just like normal people think, if the other party rear-ends you while driving under the influence, the way to maximize the benefits is to make the other party pay a large sum of money, and choose to call the police. However, Mr. Tai may not have imagined that Su Tong doesn't care about your money, he wants justice. I just want to send you in to have fun and let you experience the suffering in the world. This is happiness that no amount of money can exchange for. Mr. Tai glared at Su Tong with vicious eyes until a black hole appeared under his feet. More than a dozen slender black arms grabbed Mr. Tai's body and completely pulled him into nothingness. Su Tong also glanced inside with curiosity, but when he looked down, he saw a black hole in the void, but there was a huge gray eye. Empty eyes glanced at him with no emotion at all. Su Tong immediately pursed his lips and had skin bumps all over his body. Mr. Tai disappeared. As for how long he would disappear, he didn't know. Who knows if it will be the same as the script space, 17 years inside and a moment outside. But who cares, this guy's discomfort is his greatest happiness. The arbitration penalty has been issued. Since this scenario world has seriously damaged the interests of the players, some compensation will be made. All scenario points consumed by players in this scenario world will be fully refunded, excluding contract compensation. The income gained from this script world will not be recovered. All players in this scenario world will get a chance to spin the wheel of luck. Please check for details. The scenario points earned by players in this scenario world will be doubled as compensation. As the prompt ended, the lights in front of Su Tong suddenly flashed several times, and the lights flickered on and off. Ding dong. I saw that the elevator door in front of me had opened, and Su Tong had completely returned to reality from the world of this script. It's over. Su Tong walked out of the elevator and stood in front of the elevator entrance, still thinking about the compensation in the script world. I saw him calling out the props book. I took a look at my script score. Basically all the consumption in the script world this time was refunded, plus William's compensation for being forcibly kicked out of the team. This reached 10,400 script points. In addition, the script points calculation in the script world has been doubled this time. Adding the two together, my script points directly reached the number of 24,200. Although this figure is 3 times different from Mr. Taiwan's 70,000 script points compensation. But it is still a huge sum of money, and it is the richest Su Tong has ever had. However, part of this money still needs to be deducted. After all, I still have 2 prop cards that are mortgaged in the script killing experience center. As for the lucky wheel, it's more interesting. Before the start of the next scenario world, you can use it once in the Scenario Killing Experience Center. As for the reward, it is all the prop inventory in the Scenario Killing Experience Center. In theory, as long as you are lucky enough, you can even draw a prop card that is no less than an artifact. Then he looked at the prop cards and title cards obtained in the script world this time. Holy Sanction Technique. Just like the name of this prop card, it is a sacred skill prop card and comes with 2 skills, Sanction and Sword of Judgment. Hunter. It was still a skill prop card. Su Tong examined it carefully and found that this prop card came with 2 abilities. One is that normal attacks produce critical damage when the target does not detect itself. One is to increase the movement speed by 50% when chasing the target. Passively, the cooldown time of killer skills is reduced by 15%. Nice prop card. But for players who prefer assassination, it is a bit useless for them. Breath of Nature. A rare prop card in the natural system. The holder's effect of all concealment skills is enhanced in the natural environment. Passive Skill 1, Call of the Wild. In a natural environment, the special aura on your body will make natural creatures have a natural affinity for you. Active Skill 1, Breath of Nature. Spend 10 script points to hide your own breath in the natural environment, integrating your body with the natural environment to achieve a camouflage effect. Duration, 3 hours. Cooling time, 2 hours. In natural environment, cooling time is halved. Active Skill 2, Nature Spirit. It consumes 50 script points. After activation, all natural abilities will be increased by 60%. And in the natural environment, gain part of the power to control plants. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooling time, 4 hours. In natural environment, cooling time is halved. Looking at the information on this prop card, Su Tong couldn't help but feel interesting. Although he did not have a matching natural prop card, this prop card had many unexpected effects under certain circumstances. And after trying the effects brought by the Pure Yang body, Su Tong is looking forward to it. What kind of effect will it have if he uses this prop card as an introduction and uses the power of formlessness to transform into a natural body? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look forward to it. With expectant eyes, Su Tong couldn't help but look at the prop card of the next chapter, Chiaoqi's Kiss. But what surprised him was, this prop card has only one ability. Active Skill 1, Josie's Kiss of Blessing. It consumes 200 script points. After activation, you will receive a blessing kiss from Josie, and then receive a random blessing buff. Duration, 24 hours. Cooling time, 7 days. Note, you have fulfilled all the expectations and longings of a devil for a girl, but separation is the best ending of love. Maybe when you miss her, a kiss will give you the motivation to move on. Looking at the notes under this prop card, Su Tong smiled unconsciously. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that this prop card had a strong smell of mischief. These 4 prop cards are not actually a good harvest. But it's not bad, it can only be said to be average. There are also 2 title cards. One is the Chaos Sequence, which I have already seen. Although the bonding effect is not achieved, it is able to avoid the light damage bonus brought by his dark physique, which is a very good title card for himself. Another title card, Demon Hater. It seems useless. After activating this title card, you will become the recognized enemy of all demons, but the damage you cause to demons will be increased by 50%. Su Tong estimated that the reason why he got such a title was because he used the Divine Descending technique to summon a large number of demons, but did not prepare corresponding sacrifices for them. The title card cannot be transferred, discarded, or traded. It can only be temporarily thrown into the prop book. When you enter the exhibition next time, see if there is a chance to combine the title. Fortunately, after becoming a certified player, the number of pages in the prop book has doubled, allowing me to carry more prop cards and title cards. Libo, are you still alive? At this time, Untu's voice suddenly came to Su Tong's ears. As a temporary team member, Untu could still call him through the team channel, but Su Tong took a look at the team channel and saw a very special mark, which meant paid calls. Probably because the distance between the two is too far. Remember that when submitting the surrender order, the other party's real name will appear. It is not difficult to tell from his name that this guy is a Westerner. Let's chat at the bar at the show tomorrow night and I'll order 4 whiskeys on the table. Su Tong also paid 5 script points for this sentence, which was a bit expensive, but fortunately he was rich at the moment and didn't care about the money. In fact, he probably knew and could guess what Untu was going to do, but everyone should get together and disperse. Now that I have become a certified player, I am qualified to form a certified team, so I can learn from Untu. But before that, he should take action and resolve the matter Yang Zixuan told him as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Su Tong raised his head and looked at the camera facing him above his head, grinning in front of the camera. Scare. Hutu and others who were hiding behind the camera were immediately startled by the smile, and then saw the camera in front of them suddenly blurry. What's going on? Quick, adjust another camera. Hutu looked at the blurry camera and suddenly felt uncomfortable in his heart. He quickly asked someone to call up the picture of another camera in the corner. But there is no trace of Su Tong in the picture. Where are the people? Seeing that the person was missing, Hu Tiou's bad premonition increased a little more. Go find him quickly, and control his companions first, quickly. After Hutu finished speaking, he took out a cigarette from his pocket and put it to his mouth. Before Yang Zixuan left, he divided most of the properties under his control. His abnormal behavior had made the big and small forces very sensitive. I couldn't contact Yang Zixuan for the next 2 days, and now 2 of Yang Zixuan's friends suddenly appeared. As an intermediary businessman in the underworld, Hutu is keenly aware that these 2 people may have clues about Yang Zixuan and important information. That's why people are kept here. But now, seeing Su Tong disappear suddenly, Hu Tiu couldn't help but feel a little bit in his heart, because Yang Zixuan often gave people such an elusive feeling. The internal security team of more than a dozen people in the bathing center quickly began to disperse and search. The other 5 or 6 people rushed to the great immortal who was enjoying a massage. Bang bang bang. At this time, there was a sudden knock on the door of the monitoring room. From the corner of his head, Hu glanced at the door of the control room and saw that it was the captain of the security team, so he asked someone to open the door. Brother Huzi, the person has been found. When the security captain saw the tiger head, he didn't come in and immediately pulled him out. Hutu instinctively wanted to throw away the hand, and said, I found it and brought someone there, you. Halfway through, Hu Tiu sensed something was wrong, and the hand he held was as hard as an iron hoop. Hu Tiaoyu struggled a few times, but found that he couldn't break free. Taking a closer look, I found that the security captain in front of me looked stiff all over when he walked. Under the light of the corridor, his skin was rough and pale, and his head looked down. There was a buzzing sound on my bare head, and goosebumps stood up on my scalp. I saw that the security captain's feet had not even touched the ground. Seeing this, Hu Tiaoyu's face trembled suddenly, and he felt that the hand holding his wrist was bone-chillingly cold. I opened my mouth for a moment, but the ghost word was still in my mouth. I couldn't shout out, and my legs were weak. I noticed the fear in the eyes of the tiger head. The paper man let out a burst of inhuman laughter, turned around and pulled him forward. I approached the fire escape and walked up until I reached the corner and saw the security captain being thrown to the ground shirtless. Fortunately, this guy seemed to have just passed out. Save, save. Hutu stepped on the security captain's ankle, trying to wake him up, but he himself turned into a soft-footed shrimp at this moment. He didn't even have time to step hard on his foot before he was pulled up to the rooftop by the paper man. Buzz. The door opened, and the cold wind rushed towards Hutu's face, which made Hutu, who was already feeling cold in his heart, start to tremble uncontrollably, feeling that his legs were not his own. If the paper man hadn't pulled him, he would have collapsed on the ground right now. Brother Huzi, are you looking for me? Su Tong's voice came from the corner. Hu Tiaoyu raised his head with a stiff neck and saw Su Tong grandstanding on the edge of the rooftop. He was only wearing a nightgown from the bathing center. Even the thighs were exposed to the air. You must know that in the season, a bowl of noodles left outside will freeze into lumps of ice in the blink of an eye, but Su Tong's face is rosy, not affected by the cold wind at all. See the tiger's head and say nothing. Su Tong rummaged around in his pocket, took out a wad of money and sprinkled it. Wow! The white guide money was sprinkled down like snow in the cold wind, and Su Tong said, "Thank you for your hard work, I can do the rest by myself." As the words fell, Hutu suddenly felt the iron band on his wrist lighten. He squinted and looked aside cautiously. He saw that the paper man standing next to him had fallen to the ground, and his face still lacked the creepy smile just now. If the paper man's hand hadn't been on his wrist, Hu Tiaoyu would have doubted whether he was dreaming just now. Brother Huzi, we brothers are new here. Thank you for taking care of us these 2 days, but there are always banquets in the world, and we don't plan to stay here any longer. Su Tong smiled and took out another pack of cigarettes from his pocket and walked to Hutu. You're welcome, brother, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. I don't know whether it was because he was frightened or because it was too cold here, but Hu Tiaoyu became stumbling when he spoke. So much so that the cigarette Su Tong handed him was hanging in his mouth, trembling, and he forgot to light it. Hutu's heart began to beat. Just based on the paper man, he knew that the master in front of him was someone he could not afford to offend. Now he just wanted to send this god of plague away as soon as possible. Okay, then I'm welcome. Su Tong patted Hutu on the shoulder. I'll let someone arrange the flight later, and we'll pick them up and leave. Okay, okay. Hu Tiaoyu nodded repeatedly, but then looked at Su Tong suspiciously. Pick someone up? Yes, Yang Zixuan asked us to help him pick up his sister and nephew and leave. From now on, you can make as much trouble as you like. It has nothing to do with Yang Zixuan. In fact, in the original plan, Su Tong wanted to wait a little longer. When the people here start to get into trouble, I will take advantage of the chaos and take them away. But after being promoted to a certified player, his mentality changed somewhat. He planned to solve Yang Zixuan's matter as soon as possible and then go to Xiangzi. Then he took Gao Zhou with him to form a team, and then went to Sichuan to meet with Miato to completely perfect the paper craftsman's book. Finally, returned to El City to settle Feng Lelu's account. In one breath, all the grudges in reality were wiped away. so that he would not have to carry these burdens for no reason. However, Su Tong finished his words. However, Hu Tiaoyu's expression suddenly became extremely complicated. The meaning of Su Tong's words seemed to confirm his suspicion that Yang Zixuan ran away. This incident was originally a good thing for him, but after hearing who Su Tong was going to pick up, Huda couldn't help but feel a little bit in his heart. When he heard that Yang Zixuan's sister and nephew were being picked up, Huda's heart suddenly skipped a beat. I'm afraid, it's a bit troublesome. I heard that boy Chenda had already picked him up yesterday, it seems. Went to Huozhuang for vacation. Huozhuang. When Dia, who was lying in the hall, heard the name, she immediately became energetic. She lay down at the entrance of the hall and poked her head out. Headmaster, this is my home. I know the place well. There will be another update in the evening. Infinite script killing. Author, Guo Shui Gan Xiao. Chapter 577. Huozhuang is also called Huozhuang. This is a somewhat famous internet celebrity attraction, especially one that has only become popular in the past 2 years, in a large ravine. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is a large rural area with inconvenient transportation and is very remote. The most famous place in the area is Hot Spring Mountain. But people who travel there don't just do it to soak in the hot springs. After all, City has a special geographical environment, which always brings different customs to people. In the car, Su Tong closed his eyes and rested. Daxian put his arm on Huda's shoulder and held Huda's mobile phone in one hand, flipping through the pages. All I saw was that the content on the phone was completely out of bounds. The immortal is drooling at the sight. Naturally, the girls in the picture are all young ladies under Hu Tiaoyu's command, and they are both foreign and foreign. How much can you pay for these big horses in a month? The immortal pointed at the beauty above and asked towards the tiger head. Look at performance, look at performance. Huda said with a smile, with good performance, they can probably earn about 40,000 yuan a month. If they don't make it, it will be more than 20,000 yuan. Hearing this, Daxian glanced at the tiger's head. Then how much did you smoke? Not much, not much, 3 points. As soon as he finished speaking, the immortal raised his hand and gave the tiger's head a slap on his head. The pain was so painful that the tiger's eyes nearly popped out. Bah, you old thief, you have done nothing, yet you still smoke so much, exploiting the fruits of the working people. After listening to Daxian's reprimand, Huda covered his head and said with a bit of cry, no, I also earn hard money. Relationships cost money. Besides, I don't spend money to hire people to protect them. They are bullied. No one cares about it anymore. 3 points are very conscientious. Huda dared not speak out in anger towards this old man. When I came down from the rooftop last night, I realized how fierce this man was. A dozen internal security guards rushed over and were stunned to be slapped to the ground one by him, as if they were cucumbers. Huda finally figured it out. Yang Zixuan dared to ask these two people to protect his sister and nephew from leaving. He was definitely confident. For a small character like him, he could just cooperate obediently. How could he dare to do anything wrong? Thought. Chenda, this idiot, is out of luck this time. Thinking of this, Hu Tiaoyu couldn't help but sneer secretly. Before Yang Zixuan left, he handed over the casino business to Chenda. How many people were staring at the big fat casino, but now this idiot is asking for trouble and took over Yang Zixuan's sister and nephew. Let's go. Is he afraid that others won't know that something happened to Yang Zixuan? If the news leaks out, the underground forces in City will immediately become a mess. Huda was lost in thought when his head suddenly felt a sharp pain, which made him cry. He looked up and saw Daxian staring at him. What are you doing in a daze? Quickly arrange some for me. Oh. Su Tong narrowed his eyelids. Hudu, Do you know what happened in the fifth hall? Although this place is Daya's hometown. But after all, Daya is not from this era. She was brought out of the script world. Su Tong doesn't know what it looks like in reality, and he can't just rely on Daya's words. So I still have to ask about Tiger Head. Ah, this. Hu Tiaoyu scratched his head and thought for a while sending a message to the girls under him. Master Su, I really don't know much about this matter. As an upright man from the northeast, you don't know about the 5 great halls. Daya lay on the entrance of the hall and stamped her feet, looking like she hates iron for not turning into steel. She wished she could rush down now, manifest her true form, and give this future generation tell me what happened. Su Tong was a little surprised. After all, how could a local snake like Hu not know about such a thing? Mr. Su, don't believe me. If you want to talk about the 5 halls, Fox Yellow and White Willow Ash, you can get off the car and find a bathhouse. Any old man who rubs his back can tell you nonsense, but that's all. It's nonsense. I'm trying to restrain you. Ask me, do I dare to say this to you? Hu was afraid that Su Tong wouldn't believe it, so he quickly explained to himself. The entrances to the 5 main halls in the northeast are covered in fox yellow, white and willow ash, but it is not just these 5 entrances. On the contrary, there are many halls. As long as you follow this path, the leader enshrined in the hall can be a horse or a cow, as long as it is a spiritual animal. But speaking of it, it's just that the 5 major families have existed for a longer time and have more people worshipping them. Nowadays, few people believe in Jiaxian. It's okay for the older generation, they have a Jiaxian in their family. But young people really don't like this stuff, so fewer and fewer people understand it. I have eaten tiger head before and seen it, but when it comes to Ma Xian, my impression is that I have only heard of it. Su Tong nodded to express his understanding. People are like this, if you don't come into contact with things, you may never encounter them in your life. But once they came into contact, more and more such things happened. Just like a simple and kind-hearted young man, he thought that all foot baths in the world were pedicure and massage, until one day he curiously chose the health mode and felt that he had opened the door to a new world. So with excitement and a bit of showing off, I told my friends in my circle, holy shit, and then I realized that all my good brothers were experienced drivers. As the 3 of them were chatting, the car suddenly stopped. The driver turned his head and said to Hu Tiaoyu in the car, Brother Hu, there's a traffic jam ahead. Traffic jam? The tiger head poked his head out to take a look, and it was true. I asked the driver to get out of the car and ask about the situation. After a while, the driver ran back panting. No. No, we can't go. The 6 cars in front of us are in a mess. Oh my God, it's so miserable. They're all ruined. I guess this road won't be cleared for a while. Why don't we go around it? Let's go. A detour? You tiger, where are you going to take a detour from this place? Hu rolled his eyes and wondered if he hadn't read the almanac when he went out these days. Why did he memorize it so little? Brother Hu, I do know a road. It's an old road in the village. I just don't know if anyone has left it in the past 2 years. You can give it a try. It's always better than being stuck here all night. The driver looked around. He could still turn around if he wanted to leave now, but there would be more cars behind him later and it would be difficult to turn around and go out. It's not that comfortable to spend the night in the mountains on this cold day. Hu thought the same thing. The worst outcome was to drive back, which was always better than being trapped here. So he turned around and explained it to Su Tong and Daxian, but they didn't care. As soon as the driver turned the steering wheel, the car turned around and entered from the side road. The car passed through a small village and then changed its route to a dirt road. Occasionally, you could see villages standing on the mountains on the roadside. Unfortunately, at a glance, there was not even a single person. Su Tong even took a look at the empty house with his life eye and saw that there was nothing. The buildings are empty, and only some inconspicuous houses still have a faint breath. They may be old people staying in the countryside, but they are so few that you can even count them on one hand. Hutu is used to this kind of thing. In fact, this place used to be a big village, with many beautiful girls who killed pigs and vegetables every year and visited the village. But then all the people left, and more people left, and it became more and more desolate. As he spoke, he did not forget to joke, if we can't make it through at night, we can find a nearby village and live in an empty house. If we look around, we can probably find a lot of food. I don't know if the tiger's mouth was opened or something. As soon as he finished speaking, the car made a sudden thud and almost fell into the ditch. The tiger's center of gravity was unstable, and his head hit the chair in front of him hard, and he screamed in pain instantly. He even greeted the driver and his wife cordially. The driver also apologized profusely. When he got out of the car, his face suddenly turned bitter. It turned out that the road was covered with a layer of snow and no one could see it. There was a big hole under the road. The car hit the hole directly and the left front wheel was broken. When Hutioyu got out of the car and took a look, he was so angry that he wanted to hit someone with a stick. Tell me, are you a spy sent by others? You did it on purpose. This place is out of the way, and even if we call the rescue team, we will probably have to wait until tomorrow. Are we really going to spend the night here tonight? Su Tong and Daxian got out of the car. Seeing the broken wheel, the two of them were speechless. In fact, they could just walk there, but without the stepping stone of Hutu, the rest of the things would be difficult to handle. If I had known, I might as well have stayed in the bathing center and took a bath. Daxian muttered. How about we go to the village to find a place to sleep while it's still dark, and then we can continue on the road when the rescue vehicle arrives tomorrow. Hutu was afraid of making Su Tong dissatisfied, so he suggested. In fact, this is also a last resort. Just when Su Tong was about to nod in agreement. Ding 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 ding. Suddenly, his and Daxian's ears twitched, and they looked back at the woods behind them. The camel bells were getting closer and closer, and soon even Hutioyu and the others could hear them. I saw the quiet woods, and a big black horse with a bell came out pulling a snowmobile. Sitting on the snowmobile was a middle-aged man wearing a green coat and a fur hat on his head. The man, waving his riding whip, rushed towards them. Before the man got close, Su Tong saw a white snake behind him. Headmaster, he is Ma, the younger brother of the Lu family. Dia said to Su Tong. I saw the man cupping his hands towards Su Tong. The willow trees are growing under the gourd vines. The masters who have hit the top are all at home. The brothers from the lake are coming to the kill and the kill. The man spoke pure slang as soon as he opened his mouth. Moreover, it was so complex that even Hutioyu was stunned for a moment after hearing it. He thought about it carefully before he understood it. When the Hu family met the Lu family, they were all members of the same family whether they were friends or not. Brothers from afar came into the house and had wine. The other party said it politely, but Su Tong felt more like he was coming with bad intentions. Looking around with his peripheral vision, he saw shadows flashing from time to time in the surrounding woods. He immediately understood in his heart that it seemed that these 5 families were not without something. Even he did not expect that he would be targeted so soon. Infinite script killing. Author, Guo Shui Gan Xiao. Chapter 578. It's interesting, 3 on the left and 2 on the right. Daxian glanced at the opponent and saw clearly the number of people on the other side. I saw the man sitting on the snowmobile in front of me and raised his hand to Su Tong. Ever since Mr. entered the customs, the ancestors of the 5 families have been waiting for Mr. today. I came here specially to invite Mr. Please get on the car. The man looks rugged, but when he speaks, he gives off a refined feeling. Su Tong glanced at Daya at the entrance of the hall, and sure enough, this cause and effect still had to be repaid. When his master opened the door for him, he reminded himself not to come here if nothing happened. Xu Mingqing gave himself a pure yang sword energy as compensation for himself and the Hu family taking over the cause and effect. It is precisely this pure yang sword energy that has become the key to his promotion mission. Luck is intertwined with each other. Su Tong knew in his heart that with his current strength, no one could stop him if he wanted to leave. But the Hu family's karma will not end, and sooner or later it will be repaid invisibly double. Thinking of this, Su Tong simply nodded in agreement. As for good times and bad, we'll see. Su Tong got on the carriage, and Daxian naturally wanted to follow. In the words of the great immortal, the 5 great immortals of Northeast China cannot miss such a mysterious thing. Hutu actually resisted in his heart. There are some strange people and strange things in the world. If you can, get involved as little as possible. Once you get involved, it will be difficult to escape. But Su Tong didn't let him go. Seeing the guy's hesitation, he shouted, "Hutu, get in the car." With this shout, Hutioyu cursed in his heart that he was unlucky and could only follow him in a hurry. The snowmobile was very big, and the 3 of them sitting in the bucket at the back did not feel crowded at all. There is also a thick quilt in the bucket, as well as a hand stove to warm your hands. Once covered with the quilt and put on the hand stove, it is quite comfortable. Drive. Seeing the 3 people getting into the car, the man waved his riding whip and the car plunged into the woods and headed forward. Ding 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 ding. The sound of horses' hoofbeats mixed with the sound of bells, and the surrounding silver frost and white snow, make people feel like they are in a paradise. On the way, the man introduced himself. His name was Wu Run, and he was the younger brother of the Lu family. When the carriage came out of the woods, they saw 5 carriages coming out from both sides, following behind them. The driver is also his brother Ma. Su Tong could see clearly with his life acumen. There were the Bai family, the Hui family, the Hu family, and the Huang family. Behind each of them, like Wu Run, stood a spiritual creature. There was also an old man wearing a cloak. Su Tong used his life eye to look at him and found that he was not Ma De. Along the way, De Ya stared at the people from the Hu family behind. It was a little fox with only 2 tails, and even the color of its coat was not pure. When De Ya looked at it, she immediately started to tremble all over. I couldn't help but wonder, how could such an incompetent junior come out to do something? With doubts, De Ya jumped out from the entrance of the hall and landed on Su Tong's shoulders. Her 4 tails danced lightly behind her, and her flawless white fur made the eyes of the horseman behind them widen. The spiritual creature behind them, he was also trembling with fear. Su Tong somewhat understood this. After all, times have changed now, and the heresy can no longer be tolerated. Without the offerings of incense, these incense-eating spiritual creatures will naturally have no source of power. Decline is also a natural thing, but it is really sad to decline to this extent. The snowmobile was very fast, and it took a shortcut. It took about an hour to reach Huazhuang. More of a resort than a village. Visible modern buildings and large resort hotels can be seen everywhere. Wu Run also introduced them to them. There is a new ski resort over there, and there is a hot spring mountain behind it. It is still the off-season. When the tourist season comes, the business here will be better. Speaking of this, Wu Run couldn't help but sigh. The village has developed quite well in recent years, and young people are willing to come back and start businesses. In the early years when there was no development, there were not many people left in the village. Just as he said this, Wu Run's face suddenly darkened. He waved his riding crop and fired a cannon at the roadside. When several young people on the roadside saw this, not only were they not afraid, but they smiled and raised their mobile phones to take pictures. Upon seeing this, Wu Run glared at them with a gloomy face and drove away in the carriage. These young people are naturally local young people. Short videos have become popular recently, and they have begun to follow the trend and make videos. In fact, Woo is not averse to shooting short videos. After all, it can promote employment and promote good things about his hometown. But later I found that it started to become crooked as I patted it. It's all gaudy and exaggerated, and it's becoming less and less formal. These young people are also bold and dare to take pictures of anything. They even caused a disaster last year. I don't know what happened to them, but they set fire to a weasel's nest. As a result, they angered the Huang family and almost killed their family. In the end, the village came forward and invited Ma Di to mediate the matter. Since then, Woo has not had the slightest fondness for these young people who made videos. The car stopped in front of a large house in the back hill. The Jomen mansion looks like an independent villa, but the plaque hanging on the door of the mansion is very strange. On it are written the three words Wuxiantang in traditional Chinese characters. 5 Immortals Hall. Ya looked at the writing on the door plaque and couldn't help but look weird. She whispered in Su Tong's ear, "This place is where the 5 old immortals gather. They used to be in a small building, but now it has changed." Su Tong used his life ikumen to take a look and saw that the surroundings of the house were shrouded in a special aura. If he didn't go in, even his life ikumen wouldn't be able to see anything wrong inside. The person who opened the door was an old woman, and the door was opened through a small gap. The woman glanced at Su Tong through the crack in the door, then looked at the fox on Su Tong's shoulder, and then opened the door completely. "Please come in, the 5 elders are waiting for you inside." Woo made a gesture of invitation. But he immediately said to Daxian and Hutu behind Su Tong, "I'm sorry, the 5 Immortals Hall is only open to people from our brother Ma's family. You two can come to the hotel with me to rest first." "Ha! If I want to go in, can you stop me?" Daxian curled his lips and glanced at the gate with an evil look. He had been running all the way in a cold snowmobile for so long, but he still had to be turned away. How could it make sense? Woo and others didn't expect that Daxian looked quite young, but when he made a move, he didn't give anyone face at all. "We are all guests from far away, let's come in together," the old woman at the door said with a smile. "TCH, then I'm not curious about it anymore. There are a bunch of old monsters inside, what's there to see?" Daxian said, put his arm on Huda's shoulders, and winked at Su Tong, "Let's go see the ocean horse. When your affairs are over, come to us." After saying that, he pulled Huda towards the resort without looking back. Su Tong grinned. He thought Daxian was quite interesting. He had a temper that suited him. He didn't know if he had a team. If not, he could try calling him into his team. As soon as he entered the gate, Su Tong suppressed the smile on his face and looked around. The small building in front of him was antique. Although it was a modern single-family pavilion, the decoration in many places still adopted the Chinese style of log design. It gives people a sense of calmness and weight. It should be specially designed by a design expert. Especially on the dome at the entrance, the 12 zodiac signs are carved, which are vivid and charming. Even Su Tong couldn't help but feel a little trance when he saw them. These 12 zodiac signs are not modern objects, but more like they were moved from an old building. They are somewhat of a town object. "Please come in." Seeing that Su Tong refused to leave, the old woman had no choice but to invite him again. Su Tong then walked into the main hall. As soon as you enter the door, what you see is the neatly arranged incense hall of spiritual tablets. The densely packed spiritual tablets are not dedicated to people, but to fairies. There are 6 chairs in the room, 5 under the spiritual tablets and 1 facing the spiritual tablets. In front of the spiritual tablet, the lights were like stars. I didn't know what was burning, but a wisp of lingering green smoke came out of the incense burner. "Sir, please sit down, the ancestors will be here immediately." The old woman said something, turned around and walked out, then closed the door behind her. Su Tong was the only one left in the temporarily empty Xiangtang. Hoo-hoo. A wisp of breeze blew, but thick black cloth suddenly fell on the surrounding walls, blocking the light from the doors and windows. At the same time, when Su Tong raised the bridge of his nose, he smelled a faint fragrance. The fragrance was very light, but it lingered under the bridge of his nose for a long time. Don't dare to burn raw rhinoceros. If it is burned, it will have a strange fragrance. If it sticks to your clothes and belts, people can communicate with ghosts. In the darkness, a faint laugh came, and the spiritual tablet in front of him trembled. A white shadow fell from the spiritual tablet, turning into a woman and sitting on the chair in front of Su Tong. The woman was wearing a white dress, but Su Tong noticed that there were 6 furry tails behind her. The old immortal of the Hu family. Seeing this, Su Tong raised his brows slightly. The level of the fox fairy was relatively easy to recognize. With 5 tails, he was a grand master, and with 6 tails, his strength was almost equal to the Taoist. It can be seen that this fox fairy is also a master of Taoism. But Su Tong couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. After all, the 5 great halls, which had been passed down for thousands of years, now only had an enlightened fox immortal in charge. The other 4 were hiding in the tokens and did not dare to show up. After all, although Su Tong has not entered Taoism, the dark aura emanating from his body is much stronger than that of the fairies like them. And as the head teacher of the hall, Su Tong is indeed qualified to be on an equal footing with these old guys. Little fairy of the Hu family, Wan Qi has met Mr. The woman held her hands flat and bowed to Su Tong. Su Tong just nodded, clasping his hands into fists with his thumbs pointing up to show his identity. Huh? Sir, you are from the Kaiping section. There are recent rumors in the world that there will be a Grand Master after the Kaiping section. Could it be you, sir? Wan Qi took one look at Su Tong's gesture, and immediately thought of Shuigui's disciple, who was currently at the forefront of the world. Looking at Su Tong's gesture again, she immediately understood Su Tong's identity. There was a huge wave in my heart. You know, Su Tong's name has been well known in the world recently. All the major Yiren families in the world have announced their withdrawal from the world because of a massacre in western Hunan. More than a dozen Yiren seniors were pressed on the head by Su Tong and surrendered. Back then, Shuigui Beimang Mountain interrupted the inheritance of the entire lower 9 streams. Now this sect has another great master, who is younger than Shuigui. It's simply unreasonable. Fortunately, Xiener can't leave Shenheguan, just like Wugu can't leave Sichuan. They didn't get involved in what happened back then, otherwise things would be in trouble now. You're welcome. I don't know what the 5 immortals want to do by inviting me here. Su Tong asked straight to the point. He knew that these fairies suddenly invited him here with great fanfare, probably not because they wanted to hold him accountable, or they wouldn't be so polite. Well, to put it bluntly, their current strength does not allow them to act recklessly. Simple, I want to ask for one thing. Wan Qi is also straightforward, kill someone. Kill. Yes. This man's name is Zhang Zhenghao. We would like to ask you to kill him and take back the things belonging to our Xian family. When Wan Qi mentioned this person's name, a cold light flashed in her eyes. It turns out that this Zhang Zhenghao was just an ordinary university graduate, but later he turned into a strange person for some unknown reason. He also mastered evil magic from somewhere, and his strength was unbelievable. Not long ago, Zhang Zhenghao broke into the 5 Immortals Hall and used evil magic to forcibly arrest the only 2 ancestors. He also took away a vital thing from the 5 Immortals Hall. None of the old immortals could stop him. I could only watch him turn and leave. It is precisely because of this incident that the Xian family recently searched everywhere for traces of Zhang Zhenghao. However, they did not find Zhang Zhenghao, but instead found Su Tong. I found that Su Tong was actually a self-made Hall, and his strength was unfathomable, so after some discussion, I ask Su Tong to take action to kill Zhang Zhenghao and take back the things from the Five Immortals Hall. After hearing Wan Qi explain the matter, Su Tong probably understood that this Zhang Zhenghao was probably also a player. Moreover, there is nothing that can be done to make Xiener like Wan Qi enter the Tao. I am afraid that she is also a certified player. I know this matter will definitely embarrass you, but Baojiaxian will never let your work go in vain. As she said this, Wan Qi took out something wrapped in red cloth from under the spirit tablet and placed it on the table. After opening it, she saw a strange bronze box. I don't know what year the box is from, but after taking it out, Su Tong felt an indescribable feeling all over his body. This thing. Su Tong looked at the box and suddenly remembered another thing in his mind, Qinji Shen. This thing is almost exactly the same as the Thousand Machines God. The strange patterns on it are almost identical, except that one is made of wood and the other is made of bronze. This thing is called Qinji. In the 3rd year of Emperor Qian's reign, someone gave this thing to our immortal family. He said that this thing is extraordinary and asked us to keep it carefully. But it is embarrassing to say that after many years, we have not understood its secret. So I am willing to use this as a reward. After Wan Qi said this, she was still afraid that Su Tong would not agree. After she twisted the mechanism above, a gap opened in the middle of the box, and inside was a handful of jade ruyi. This is. Daya's eyes widened when she saw ruyi, and Su Tong could even hear her rapid breathing. A lot of treasures come as you wish. This is the most precious treasure of our Hu family. Since we asked our seniors to take action, I naturally have to lend you your strength. This gift to you can help you break through the shackles as soon as possible. Wan Qi said this to Daya. This thing is an inheritance left by the ancestors of the Hu family. The reason why the Hu family can become the leader of the 5 great halls is because of this inheritance. This priceless treasure was also taken out by Wan Qi today. This is not only because they need Su Tong to help kill people, but also because they place the hope of the clan on Daya. After all, the luck of the 5 great immortal halls has long since dried up. They can still survive now, but they are relying on the blessings of their ancestors, but if they can only survive for a few more years at most, the 5 great immortal families will exist in name only, and their luck will be completely cut off. Once luck is gone, it is destined to perish in the world, and even the gods cannot save it. Instead of doing this, it is better to give this thing to Daya. Although I don't know which branch Daya belongs to, her skin color is also orthodox, her strength is not high, but her luck is much better than these rotten old things. Too much. Perhaps in the future, we can rely on this to revive the name of the immortal family. Let me think about this. Su Tong frowned and did not agree directly. He couldn't help but feel a little entangled in his heart. He originally thought that he came here to settle the cause and effect, but now, the cause and effect is getting bigger and bigger. And he had a strong intuition that he might be in a lot of trouble with this thing next. Thinking of this, he simply used plum blossoms to count and began to divine for himself. Wan Qi was not in a hurry and waited quietly for Su Tong's reply. During this period, he even held Daya's hand and started chatting with her. He learned that Daya didn't know much about immortal arts, so he even gave Daya a thread-bound ancient book, which was full of magic techniques and practices of the immortal family. Road. Su Tong did some calculations and came to the conclusion that Fengzi de Guogua. A more sinister hexagram, which means that going too far is not enough, and may even have negative effects. Even if you are well-intentioned, you will still cause trouble. A big mistake is too much, and things are too much. However, the Daguo hexagram is still a symbol of moderation and obedience, indicating that the person can be helped and able to move forward. Looking at the hexagram, Su Tong couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. He was really asking for trouble. Ever since he agreed to Yang Zixuan, the troubles seemed to come one after another. But Su Tong doesn't care at all about the evil hexagrams in the eyes of others. Trouble. There are not just one or two troublesome things in my life, and there is no shortage of this one. I was originally here to unravel the cause and effect between myself and the Hu family. If I was afraid of trouble, I would not even come to the Northeast long ago. So after thinking briefly, Su Tong nodded and agreed. I can help you, but you have to tell me first what exactly Zhang Zhenghao took away. A key. It is said that this key can open the door to the divine treasure. It is a treasure guarded by our 5 families. It is related to the fate of our 5 families. Wan Qi did not hide anything and revealed the secret of this thing. Although it is not complete, it is enough to illustrate the importance of this thing. Okay, give me Zhang Zhenghao's information, and there is one more thing you can help me with. As Su Tong said, after briefly talking about Yang Zixuan's sister and nephew, Wan Qi immediately said that this matter should be left to them. Even though the 5 major families have long since declined, they are local snakes after all. It is much easier for them to come forward to deal with this matter than for Su Tong and others to do it. After taking the things, Su Tong turned around and walked out of the Xiangtang. As for Dia, he was left in the Xiangtang. According to Wan Kai's intention, he planned to teach Dia some of the Hu family's unique skills. After walking out of the 5 Immortals Hall, Wu Run was still waiting for him at the door, wanting to send him to meet Daxian and the others. Su Tong waved his hand and said no, and asked him to send a message to Daxian, saying that he was going to the exhibition. Then I silently recited the express passage in my heart, and saw a shop door slowly opening on the roadside from a distance, revealing the unique neon lights of the Script Killing Experience Center. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinite Script Killing. Author, Guo Shuigan Xiao. Chapter 579. Ding dong. The bell at the store door was pushed open, and Su Tong poked his head out furtively, peeking inside through the crack in the door. Just come in if you want. You're so sneaky. Are you afraid that I'll eat you? A rare sound of ridicule came from the table, and Aimee was lying on the counter looking at him with her chin in place. Hey hey. Su Tong tiptoed into the house. Looking around, he thought an adulterer had entered the house. Don't look at it. Mr. Tai has been arbitrated by you and buried in the endless sea. You won't be able to see him for a while. Aimee smiled very sweetly, and it was the first time that Su Tong saw her smile so happily. Su Tong placed the 2 paper cranes on the table and said with a wicked smile, that's what he deserves, but where is the endless sea? Why do I think this guy was thrown into the beach for vacation? The depths of nothingness, the end of nightmares, the sea of pain, the place where the bones of old gods fall, the gods fall into it, their spiritual wisdom is scattered, the gods and humans decline, and they are tortured by hundreds of diseases every day, endlessly until the godhead is annihilated. Aimee was talking about the harshness of the endless sea, but the smile on her face was particularly bright. Oh, when you say that, I feel much better immediately. Su Tong took out 2 bottles of Coke from the prop book and handed one to Aimee. Happy holiday to him. I wish him health and longevity. Aimee raised her Coke. Oh, what an adulterer and whore, Pan Jinlian tricked Wu Dalan to death. At this time, there was a joke, and Thalia was seen walking out of the small door behind the counter, wearing a sexy and naked crimson cheongsam. Seeing the 2 of them holding Cokes, he spread out the fan in his hand and covered half of his face. Mr. Tai, if you know what you are doing, he will definitely hate you too. With that said, Thalia snatched the Coke from Aimee's hand, put it to her mouth and took a sip. He. Aimee covered her mouth and chuckled when she saw this, then just hope that he comes back soon. I am his creditor now. He can't touch me. He has completed the certification and there is nothing you can do about it. But you. Ame stretched out her slender fingers and poked Thalia's plump flesh a few times. Be careful if he comes back and doesn't peel off your skin. Hate. Thalia opened her sister's hand and leaned on the table. If you didn't tell me, I would have forgotten. I helped you so much, but in the end I couldn't get any benefits, and I ended up in a mess. After speaking, he glanced at Su Tong and said with a wicked smile, Xiao Su, you are not in need of a wife, so why don't you take me in? Hey, if you are willing to come, how about I call you grandma? After saying that, Su Tong looked up and down Thalia's chest and muttered, Master, resources were very scarce in those days, but things are improving now. Screw you. Seeing that she couldn't get any advantage, Thalia glared at Su Tong fiercely. It was confirmed that Mr. Tai's wonderful trip would last for a long time, and Su Tong was in a good mood. Redeem the 2 prop cards Kinjishan and Chuanwu that were mortgaged here last time. Then he took out the bronze box he got from Wu Xiantang and handed it over. Ame was startled when she saw the box and looked at Su Tong suspiciously. You really found it? I don't know if we met by chance. Su Tong looked at the bronze box and couldn't help but secretly look forward to it. I got the Kinji transformation on my front foot, and now I got another part of the GNG transformation. My luck is indeed a bit too good. 600 appraisal fee. Su Tong didn't talk nonsense this time and paid the money neatly. Ame picked up the hammer and smashed it down. Bang! As soon as the hammer fell, the bronze box turned into a prop card again. Su Tong picked it up and took a look. Sure enough, it was a component of Kinji Shen. Thousands of machines kill, damaged. In the script task, find the Mahist machine technique 1000 machines, and assemble it to get a complete prop card. Task time, no limit. Task time, no limit. Mission background, China. Passive skill, Mahist Yanshu. The holder obtains a part of the Mahist Yanshu inheritance. Passive skill, Yanxia. The holder's wood carving skills have been upgraded to master, and can be combined with mechanism skills to create armored soldiers. Active skill 1, Yanling. Performing soul killing on items allows the items to produce unique spirits based on their own characteristics. This skill consumes script points, which is subject to the Yanling target. Su Tong looked at this prop card and couldn't help but feel interesting. Okay, it's another little skill for making people. The so-called Yanji is good at using Yanshu. To put it simply, it is to create a living singing and dancing artist out of wood. The singing and dancing artist not only looks exactly like a human, but also knows how to flirt with beautiful women. Yanshu is not unique to the Mahists. Gongshu also has records of Yanshu. But no one knows where the specific inheritance is. They only know that it was first recorded in Lizi Tangwan. However, when Su Tong saw Yanshu, he discovered that it was similar to his own paper control technique. And about the introduction of Yanling, for some reason, Su Tong had a particularly familiar feeling, and he unconsciously thought of the embroidered shoe. Is it such a coincidence? It seems like I have to ask Master about this. Looking at the mission of this prop card again, it is obvious that this prop card is not enough to repair all the 1000 machine gods, and there is still 1000 machine controller missing. Thinking of this, he planned to try his luck later. But before the progress meeting, I still have one thing to do. The script space gave me a compensation and called the lucky wheel. How does this thing work? Hearing this, Ame and Thalia couldn't help but look at each other, and immediately burst into laughter like silver bells. Ha 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 ha, if this guy Tai knew that you still had this compensation, he would definitely regret it. The so-called Lucky Wheel uses the collections in the Script Killing Experience Center as prizes. Unfortunately, Mr. Tai is a collector, and his collection is definitely the richest among all shop owners. I have a bottle of potion here. Drinking it can double your luck. It has no side effects. However, it is a bit expensive. It costs 3,000 script points. Thalia knew that Su Tong had a title, Fortune Immortal. If he activated this title, his luck would rise to a higher level. Plus this bottle of potion. Thalia could already imagine the scene of seeing her collection being taken away by Su Tong when Mr. Tai came back. Thalia could not stop laughing. That's really interesting. Purchase. Su Tong patted his thigh and gave him 3,000 script points. He was willing to give it up now. If he could really take out Mr. Tai's treasure, no matter how easy it is to use or not, just the sight of making this guy extremely uncomfortable would make him happy just thinking about it. Thalia smiled and took out a bottle of dark red potion and placed it on the table. Lucky potion. After taking it, the luck of the eater can be doubled. It's indeed a good thing, and it's worth the 3,000 script points. He didn't rush to drink it, but rummaged through the props book. Because his luck is not strong now, drinking it directly would be a waste. First, he took out the lucky perfume Druid Lay sold him, and after spraying a little on himself, the luck on his head suddenly improved a lot. Then Su Tong's heart moved. I saw a wisp of white smoke rising slowly above my head. The white smoke billowed and transformed into a round little fat man. The little fat man was round and looked very cute. Even Ame and Thalia couldn't help but want to reach out and hug this little thing in their arms. Unfortunately, this little fat man looked unfeminine and immediately hid far away. This little fat man is the skill of Su Tong's title Blessing of the Immortal of Fortune, the Dice of Destiny. It consumes 30 script points. After activation, you can summon a destiny dice. After you throw the dice, you will get fairies to sublimate your life according to the number you throw. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooling time, 8 hours. Destiny, good life is not as good as good luck, but if life is not good enough, even if you are lucky for a while, it is destined not to last long. If luck is compared to water, fate is the vehicle that carries your luck. If your destiny is strong enough, the more luck you will accumulate. Since it is a lucky wheel, Su Tong naturally wants to push his luck to the extreme. I saw Fu Xian throw a dice, and the dice rolled over the head. I saw the dice rolling slower and slower. Su Tong and the other three stared straight at it. The dice were rolling, and when they saw that they were about to stop on 6, the three of them couldn't help but sigh. Stop. 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 Ta-da-da. Ta-da. Ta. 6. Seeing the 6 points falling on the dice, Su Tong couldn't help but get excited instantly, and Ame and Thalia felt even more excited than Su Tong himself. It seems that I have seen Mr. Tai with a sad face, kneeling and roaring. 66 great fortunes, good luck. Fu Xian patted his round belly and played a very rhythmic drum beat, which then turned into a golden light and blended into Su Tong's luck. For a moment, I saw the luck above Su Tong's head twisting, and a faint purple light shone down from the depths of the luck. Quick, drink the potion and start the lottery. Thalia put the lucky potion to Su Tong's mouth. But Su Tong hurriedly avoided it because he didn't want to start smoking now. Since a gamble is a gamble, why not make it more exciting? I saw him take out another thing from the prop book. A little dark pill. Disaster of Sudden Death, Volume 8, Chapter 14. This little pill was something I extracted from the soul of a demon in the script world. The eater will be blessed with a negative thing and will encounter a sudden death disaster within 3 hours, and before the sudden death, the eater's luck will increase by 70%. If the eater can avoid this unexpected disaster, his luck will be permanently increased by 30%. This is a double-edged sword. But the effect is undoubtedly powerful. If you can avoid the disaster of death within 3 hours, your luck will be permanently increased by 30%. Such a powerful effect would make anyone excited. It's just a sudden death, but it's not a joke. The so-called sudden death means that it ignores your fate and luck and happens completely unexpectedly. Wait a minute, Please think clearly, this is no joke. Ame stopped him and said. However, Su Tong took the lucky potion from Thalia's hand and was surprisingly calm after hearing this. It's just a heartbeat. As he spoke, he drank the pills and the lucky potion in one gulp. Infinite Script Killing. Author, Guo Shui Gan Xiao. Chapter 580. At the entrance of the pill, the sea of clouds was already surging above Su Tong's head. Luck showed a large blue cloud, and a ray of light shone from the depths of the cloud. As the saying goes, the blue clouds are thousands of miles away and rise like the sun. And when he drank the lucky potion, the sea of clouds suddenly turned into mountains, and a scorching sun hung in the sky, reflecting the huge mountain of Mount Tai. If you listen carefully, you can still hear the sound of sheep. 3 plump white sheep stood on the top of the mountain. The 3 yangs are prosperous and good luck comes. At this point, luck has completely changed. At this time, Su Tong felt that even if he fell down when he went out, he could still find money. Don't waste time, every second is like gold at this moment. He took a deep breath, followed the method mentioned by Ame, and silently activated the Wheel of Fortune. Along with the silent prayer, a huge turntable actually appeared in front of Su Tong. There are 3 circles inside and outside the turntable. There are no physical objects or reward names marked on them, only a series of numbers. These numbers correspond to Mr. Tai's rich collection. Su Tong put his hand on it, and then tried to turn it gently. I don't know if it was because of the strong bonus of luck. Before Su Tong's hand exerted any force, he felt an invisible force dragging his hand. Hands to turn the turntable. Kaka kaka. The turntable starts spinning. Now Ame and Thalia couldn't help but stand aside, holding their breath and watching with wide eyes. At the same time, the 2 of them were also muttering in a low voice, "Tell me, will you take out that knife?" The 2 of them have worked under Mr. Tai for so many years, and they know very well that Mr. Tai, a collector, likes nothing more than a horizontal knife called Hubenza blade. It is said that the knife has unique special effects and was even once stained with divine blood. It can be said to be Mr. Tai's favorite. If Su Tong could pull out the knife, Mr. Tai would probably be in pain for a long, long time after returning from the endless sea. Uncertain. Ame thought about it carefully and felt that the probability was too slim. And although the knife was very strong, it was too ferocious, and it carried a powerful curse, causing every owner to die miserably in the end. Ame vaguely remembers that when Mr. Tai was wiping the knife, he said that it was a blade of fate. Whoever becomes the master must fulfill the fate of this knife. Therefore, Su Tong's luck is now overwhelming and unstoppable, and he may not be able to draw this murderous knife. Well, according to you, is this what he needs most? Thalia thought. It's not necessarily that there aren't the most needed things, only more powerful treasures. There are many things in Tai's collection that he himself can't explain clearly. It's hard to guarantee that some of these things will be ignored by Tai. As they spoke, the outermost layer of the wheel gradually stopped. The 3 of them looked at the number, which was 0. Kaka kaka. Then the second round of the wheel begins to spin. The numbers in this circle are also odd numbers. The turntable rotated very fast. Su Tong looked calm, but he couldn't help but start to look forward to it in his heart. His luck is soaring, and he is not worried that he will draw a piece of garbage. I am only worried that there is nothing in Mr. Tai's collection that is truly suitable for me. As the turntable began to slow down, the numbers on the hand slowly stopped. When the 3 of them took a look, it was still 0. There's a show. Ame's eyes lit up and she concluded. Perhaps the numbers are arranged according to the level of these collections. A 3-story carousel can't hold more than 1,000. Among the thousands of collections on the stage, only the treasures that can be ranked in the top 100 are qualified to become the objects of the carousel. Now the first 2 are 0, then at least the collection should be within the top 10. Hearing Aime's analysis, Thalia couldn't help but frown slightly, and began to think in her heart, if it was in the top 10, then the range of options would be greatly reduced. The top 10 are both extremely precious treasures and must be suitable for Su Tong. Could it be? Suddenly Thalia's heart moved. She looked up at the numbers on the turntable, and her heartbeat suddenly began to speed up. I saw that the third round of carousels had gradually begun to slow down at this moment. Da-da-da. As the numbers crossed one by one in front of the pointer, the hearts of the three of them suddenly rose to their throats. Finally, when the number gradually stopped at the character 9, the three of them suddenly became excited. Thalia even patted her chest and let out a big breath and said, "I knew it, it must be." Before I finished speaking, I saw that the wheel was still sliding, and the pointer actually slipped out of the 9 characters with a small gap and landed on 0. 3 zeros. For a moment, Su Tong looked back at Aime. Aime and Thalia looked at each other, wondering what the outcome was. Ding. You have drawn a special item in this lucky wheel, please check it carefully. When the prompt sounded, Su Tong felt his arm suddenly sink, and a black square appeared in Su Tong's hand. What's this? He looked at the square things and couldn't help but observe curiously. This thing is square and there is no gap at all. The key is that it is very heavy when held in my arms. Even with Su Tong's strength, he feels like he can't pick it up at this time. He tried to throw something into the prop book, but found that this thing actually occupied 4 slots by itself, and the prop book didn't even give him an entry. Fortunately, he has now advanced to become a certified player, otherwise he would have wanted to throw this thing away. With his luck soaring into the sky, he just got a joke like this. Immediately, Su Tong could only take out the thing and give it to Dia and Thalia to let them see what it was. As a result, the two of them looked at it for a long time and couldn't figure out the reason. Let me try. Aime took out her own hammer and prepared for forced identification. The hammer in her hand is called the Hammer of Wisdom and can identify the origin and essence of all items. But when Aime raised the hammer, she put it down awkwardly, and hesitantly stretched out her hand to Su Tong. The appraisal fee, 100,000 script points. Puff. Su Tong's face darkened and he almost complained. 100,000 script points, even if they were cut in half, I couldn't get it. The key is that this thing is not worth 100,000 script points. Can't you pay on credit first? Su Tong looked at Aime with resentment on his face. This is beyond my authority. Aime was also helpless. If the script was divided into 30,000 yuan or less, she could make the decision in the blink of an eye. But 100,000 script points was completely beyond her authority. Without this amount of script points, the Hammer of Wisdom cannot fall at all. Then don't you know the origin of this thing? I haven't seen it before. Thalia leaned over the dark cube to look at it. 2 possibilities. The first possibility is that this thing is not from the script library. The second possibility is that this thing is too precious. Taiwan is even so cautious that even we have to hide it. That's right, the appraisal fee of 100,000 script points, this thing is extraordinary no matter how you look at it. I think you should put it away for now and wait until you have the opportunity to appraise it again in the future. And don't look for anyone else, only me. Aime said solemnly. It's not because of his appraisal fee. If the secret is deliberately hidden even by Taiwan, once it is exposed, it will definitely cause a huge turmoil. Only when you reach the level of certified players will killing each other become the main theme. By then, I'm afraid Su Tong will have no way to go to heaven and no door to earth. Is there no other way? This dark mass made Su Tong a little crazy. He knew it was a treasure, but he didn't know how to use it. It's like having an antique from the Ming dynasty at home. It has a price but no market, but it has been registered by the state and cannot be traded. Well, I can only try my luck in the script world. Aime replied weakly. Okay, seeing this, Su Tong stopped worrying. It was a treasure anyway, and it couldn't escape even if it was left in his prop book. Now that he was lucky, he couldn't continue chatting here. After saying goodbye to Amatalia in a hurry, he turned around and rushed to the door of the exhibition. I plan to take advantage of this opportunity and try my luck at the exhibition to see if I can find the GNGU prop card. Hey, I'm so happy for nothing. I thought I could get rid of the bad guy on the stage. Seeing Su Tong leaving, Thalia crossed her arms and expressed regret. The thing he drew is even more unusual, but after he took it away, he didn't know what his expression would be when he came back from the stage. After Ame finished speaking, she looked sideways at Thalia. The Endless Sea will take 17 years to come back, which is about 3 months. Have you figured out how to escape? Well, there is a way. After speaking, Thalia smiled and leaned into Ame's ear. She didn't know what she said, but she saw Ame looking at Thalia with a strange expression on her face. You crazy woman, are you serious? Of course, after all, this is a good way to get out of here, isn't it? After Thalia finished speaking, she said with a bad smile, when you and this kid came to the church to get married, you looked up and saw me sitting on it, waiting for you to serve me tea. Just think about it and I think it's worth it. I will eliminate harm for the people now. With a dark face, Ame raised the hammer in her hand and hit Thalia on the head. Bitch, you're serious. I'm blind to help you, but you can take my sword. Boom, boom, boom. In front of the counter, there was a rumble and blood and flesh flew everywhere. I recommend this book. Those who are short on reading can read. Invincible starts with steady improvement. Infinite script killing. Author, Guo Shui Gan Xiao. Chapter 581. Entering the exhibition, Su Tong took a look at the luck above his head. The three yangs are in full swing, like the rising sun. This is already the limit that ordinary people can achieve. If Master had such luck, he would have already entered Taoism and achieved enlightenment, so why bother to accept that destiny? If the old Taoist had such luck, even for just a moment, this guy would be the last person to become enlightened in the next 300 years. Therefore, luck is also a part of strength. Some people are very capable, but they never succeed. The only problem is their luck. You want to say, is there anything further up? Have. In addition to the state in which the master inherits the destiny, there are also such luck as the red sun shining brightly, the purple energy coming from the east, the good fortune coming peacefully, and the heavenly treasure appearing auspicious. But these kinds of luck are no longer something normal humans can have. Especially Tianbao Changxiang, a person with this kind of luck will be a great person almost from birth, and he will be the god of wealth walking in the world. It is no exaggeration to say that when this person goes out to the toilet, he can pick up treasures, and every time he sneezes, a treasure will fall from the sky. If you encounter this kind of person, remember to stay away from him, because when he sneezes, he will drop a golden lump, which may hit you on the head. It is said that only when Tianbao is born auspiciously, will anyone be able to live in peace and prosperity. Completely opposite to Tianbao Chenxiang's luck, this kind of person can't do anything, and he will be unlucky wherever he goes. 9 out of 10 unlucky things in the world will happen to him, and there is only one left, who is also on the way. When Tianbao Changxiang picked up a treasure, he almost lost his life. Two completely opposite fortunes, but the interesting thing is that Tianbao Changxiang only has one unlucky time in his life, and that time of unlucky will kill him. Whether you are lucky or not, you will only be lucky once in your life. Once you are lucky, you can ride the wind and jump over the dragon gate. Therefore, these unique fortunes are not something that ordinary people can have. When Su Tong's three yangs flourished, it was already the ultimate in the world. Time was limited. After Su Tong entered the exhibition, he went directly to other trading areas and began to sweep through this overseas shopping area as quickly as possible. When he passed by a stall, his brows suddenly raised slightly, and a strange feeling came over him. It felt like something was holding his hand to guide him. Following this feeling, Su Tong looked at a prop card on the stall. Basic Tai Chi swordsmanship. Like close combat, it is a basic skill. This kind of basic skill is actually very popular here. After all, basic skills are cost-effective and can quickly increase combat effectiveness. They can be used without any scruples even in reality. It's usually no problem to sell a script for 10 to 15 points. But this swordsmanship book was sold out with only 5 script points. Maybe it's because of the name of this basic skill card. After all, in people's traditional concept, anything related to Tai Chi is basically health exercises for the elderly. Seeing this, Su Tong was not polite and directly gave him script points to complete the deal. Then he continued to walk forward, his eyes scanning the prop cards in front of these stalls from time to time. I just took one look at it, felt nothing, and left immediately. Now I'm doing things entirely by luck. After one circle, Su Tong had 3 more prop cards in his hand. In addition to the book on Tai Chi swordsmanship, there is also a copy of Lianji Fenchenbu and Shibai Kaishan Zhang. These things can just complement your melee abilities, and with the prop card Xuanwu you redeemed, you can practice all of these to the point of entering the palace in a very short period of time. After a round of shopping, Su Tong did not stop any longer, but went to the high-end exhibition area that only certified players can enter. The so-called high-end exhibition area does not refer to an area, but when Su Tong silently thought about the high-end exhibition area in his heart, domino-like ripples rippled in the surrounding space. I saw ripples that instantly changed the world in front of me. Brand new streets, towers reaching into the sky. Even the prop card information flashing above his head suddenly became denser. Various prop card information continued to appear around Su Tong, and was refreshed in categories according to Su Tong's thoughts. Ding! As a player who enters the advanced exhibition area for the first time, you will get an assistant elf. The assistant elf will provide you with better and more excellent guide services. A prompt sounded. A palm-sized elf appeared next to Su Tong. Welcome to the advanced exhibition area, the elf number 404 is at your service. You can call me by my number or give me a new name. The elf does not look like a human, but a cute-looking plush ball with light golden feathers that makes it feel quite comfortable to hold in your hand. There is also a pair of dragonfly-like wings on the back. If I want to buy some special prop cards, what's the fastest way? Su Tong ignored 404's suggestion and asked straight to the point. You can bid high bounties and enter the bounty list according to the bounty amount. The top 100 bounty lists will be reported to every player in the high-level exhibition in the form of a broadcast. With a tap of 404's little paw, a series of bounty lists appeared in front of him. Su Tong took a glance and instantly realized what poverty meant. Good guy, the starting price for the top 100 reward content is 30,000 script points. Are all certified players so rich? Looking at it, I immediately felt that the 70,000 script points proposed by Mr. Hitai were still missing. In fact, Su Tong's thinking this way is completely a misunderstanding. After all, the content he saw was among the top 100 bounties on the bounty list. Just as people often see writers on the internet who earn millions a month, it would give people the illusion that writing novels is very profitable. However, in fact, for most authors, even food and clothing are a problem. Where to go if I want to try my luck? Seeing that the bounty was definitely out of reach, the little money in his pocket would soon be lost if the bounty was announced, so it was better to use his own strength and luck. Yes. There is a casino in front. People with good luck can get rich overnight, but people with bad luck often die miserably. If you want to play more exciting, there is a book of lost props behind the casino, you can try to gamble. Props book. Can this thing be used for gambling? This was the first time Su Tong heard of such a thing. Yes, after the player dies, the prop book will be recycled, but most of the prop books will not disappear, but are retained for unknown reasons. The casino has the right to sell the prop books, but the contents inside will be retained. How much more is unknown. After saying that, the 404 elf whispered, I advise you not to gamble. Once you gamble, you will suffer for a lifetime. Even if the casino does not deliberately cheat, you will lose 9 times out of 10. It's just that Su Tong has ignored these words. On the contrary, after hearing the 404 elf's words, he has already moved forward faster. He even suffered the misfortune of death, so at this time, he still cares about the advice of the 404 elves. Arriving in front of the casino, I saw masked figures walking in front of the gate. The huge entrance hall was magnificent, but Su Tong did not continue walking forward. Instead, he looked at the gambling building with his eyes. An indescribable feeling made him stop. This place. Su Tong activated his life icon and swept his eyes away. The huge hall in front of him turned into a white-fronted tiger. The lights around him flickered on and off, and a curtain of black energy formed on the entrance and exit. The body was swept, and every time it was swept, the faint luck was swept away invisibly. The number is not large, even extremely weak, but it cannot hold up the large number of these lights. A little at a time, the cumulative total is not a small number. Only some seemingly inconspicuous paths avoid the light, but once you enter the gate, some of your luck will be inexplicably taken away. Just as Su Tong frowned and looked at the layout in front of the casino, he suddenly felt someone approaching him. When he glanced sideways, he saw a figure wearing a frog mask and holding a walking stick in his hand. Seeing Su Tong looking at him, the other party let out a hoarse laugh. Little brother, good luck, Sanyang Kai Tai, this is luck that I haven't seen in many years, no wonder I dare to come here. When Su Tong heard this, he was a little surprised and said, can you observe luck? As he said this, he couldn't help but take half a step back vigilantly. At the same time, he squinted at the other person's luck and found that although the other person's luck was not as strong as his own, it was rare for him to be blessed with wealth. The theory of luck is most elusive. Even experienced people who are proficient in the Zhuyi Bagua cannot directly see other people's luck with their naked eyes. Su Tong was also able to see his luck intuitively because of his magical life eye. Who would have thought that someone could also see his luck? Hey! It's interesting. The other party was startled when he heard Su Tong's words. He stretched out his hand and slightly opened a gap in the mask on his face, revealing a pair of cloudy eyes. His gray pupils were obviously blind. But what is surprising is that although the other party is blind, there are indeed 2 very small double pupils in the eyeballs, and the double pupils are obviously normal for seeing objects. Double eyes. This is the second time Su Tong has seen Chong Tong. The first time was the mother and son he met in the beef offal soup house in Xi's script at the beginning of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Su Tong is still deeply impressed that the child's double pupils seem to have the mysterious power to communicate yin and yang. Now I see double pupils again, but although this person has double pupils, his main pupil is blind. Otherwise, with these double pupils, there is really no way to stop him in the world. Come this way, little friend. The other party called Su Tong to a corner and whispered, since children can also observe luck, let's keep the story short. After all, good luck is limited, so don't waste time. Okay. It was a rare feeling to meet a fellow traveler, and Su Tong couldn't help but feel like an old friend at first sight. Besides, the other party seemed to be a seasoned casino veteran, and Su Tong also wanted to hear what good ideas he had. In this place, the 8 locked doors are the place where evil spirits gather. The lotus fountain in front of the door and the water evil spirits collide with each other. It is the blue dragon sitting down and the white tiger attacking. Although we are lucky, we will be cut into pieces as soon as we enter the door. If you look at the lamps inside the door, the lamp heads are like gourds, and there must be hidden charms engraved inside. As soon as people entered, all the hammers fell, and all their luck was shattered. So we can't go in like this. I was originally waiting for an unlucky guy here to borrow his bad luck to take the trouble, but there are too few unlucky guys. You are here just in time. I have a prop card called Julongju. I will lend you this card. How about we go in together? With that said, the other party first showed the prop card to Su Tong. When Su Tong took a look, he immediately understood why he didn't use this prop card anymore. Julongju. It can transform the luck of the blue dragon. The stronger the luck of the bearer, the stronger the dragon energy. Passive skill 1, King Glong's luck. The green dragon is responsible for birth, and all things spring forth. It can produce a strong green dragon aura in oneself, regardless of all feng shui patterns. Active skill 1, Spring water moistens all living things. It consumes 300 script points. After activation, the dragon spits water and breaks the evil spirits in all directions. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooling time, 8 hours. Note, destiny is with me, Yuan Hung and good luck. There are really all kinds of prop cards, and this is the first time Su Tong has seen such a strange prop card. But what the blind man said was right. This place looked so evil. If he went in blindly, his luck would be shattered even if he was protected by something. He hit it off with the blind man immediately, and the two signed a contract. Su Tong paid 5 script points to rent the prop card and took the other person in with him. If Su Tong activated the active skill of this prop card, the script consumed would be divided between two people. Evenly divided. After signing the contract, Su Tong pocketed the prop card. Suddenly, Qi movement surged above his head, and Sanyang raised his head, and there was a huge green Qi surge vaguely visible in Mount Tai. Seeing that the green energy was getting stronger and stronger, the blind man leaned on a walking stick and pulled Su Tong's arm excitedly. Quick, the green dragon has become, and all evil will not invade, good luck and good luck, rush to the duck. While talking, the two of them raised their legs and rushed inside. As soon as he walked to the door, lights were shining down, and Su Tong felt his luck flickering above his head, but it was steady and motionless. Following the two of them, they walked directly into the door. Boom! As soon as I passed the gate, I heard a shattering sound. When I looked back, I saw that the glass of the gate was broken. Hee, Qinglong suppresses the white tiger and breaks its teeth. Seeing this, the blind man who was holding Su Tong tightly sneered and led Su Tong inside. Entering the lobby, the lights were brightly lit, and gambling tables of all sizes were already crowded with people. The blind man pointed at these gambling tables and whispered, "Look at the design of these gambling tables, do they look like the frames of fishing nets? In Feng Shui, they are called Tianluo umbrellas, which means that the gamblers will be trapped in the evil spirits and the gambling will be trapped. All the guests' money is in your pocket, but you have Qinglong Qi, so this thing is of no use to you." Su Tong glanced at the gambling table, but he didn't intend to stay here. "I'm going to try my luck and bet on the prop book, how about you?" When the blind man heard this, he couldn't help but beam with joy. Follow the god of wealth. It's hard not to get rich. Let's do it together. Su Tong's fortune soared into the sky, and the blind man also had great fortune. If he wanted to bet, he would bet on the biggest one. The two of them immediately ran straight to the second floor. Ding bang, clang clang clang. As soon as I walked up the steps to the second floor, I heard a clanking sound of renovations. I saw that the bathroom was being renovated. The blind man was accustomed to this. He took Su Tong's hand and explained, "Decoration means zhuangshao. In any big casino, decoration is done here or there all year round. It cannot stop for a moment. You know this place quite well. Do you come here often? Su Tong looked at the blind man curiously. He had never heard of what the blind man said, but he seemed to know it well, which showed that he had come to this place frequently. Hey, I'm nicknamed the god of gambling with 4 eyes. It's no exaggeration to say that any casino in Southeast Asia will respectfully give money directly to me when they see me. If they couldn't kill me, they would have killed me long ago. $8. The blind man raised his nose and said proudly. In reality, all the major casinos have blacklisted him for a long time. Whenever he shows up, the boss will directly invite him upstairs, asking for money, women for women, good food and drink, and having fun. He is not allowed to gamble in the casino. It was not because of the conscience of these bosses, but because he once almost brought down a casino in Macau. It is said that in just one night, he won $2 billion in gambling from the casino. He forced the big boss of the casino to step down in person, came to buy him a drink and asked him to stop, and finally left with $2 billion. His deeds are still widely reported in major casinos. Of course, the casino owner couldn't swallow this and asked someone to take action. The next day, the owner found a note and the killer's 2 fingers on his bedside. There were only 5 words written on it: if you don't accept it, continue gambling. The boss was so frightened that he could not sleep for days and nights. However, winning in reality is too easy and not exciting enough. Fortunately, the emergence of the Script Killing Experience Center allowed him to find a new joy in life. It was here that he discovered the excitement that he had not felt for a long time. But the feng shui pattern here is even more bizarre and mysterious than in reality. Even if you are a certified player, you will often get tricked when you walk in. The feng shui pattern is not considered an attack damage to players, so even certified players can only hold their noses and recognize it. After passing through the door, a small exhibition hall appeared in front of them. Compared to those outside, there were not many people in the exhibition hall because gambling on the prop book was exciting enough, but not everyone was lucky enough to get rare treasures from the prop book. After all, these prop books have been recycled by the script world, and most of the prop cards in them have been recycled, with only a few actually remaining. Moreover, the prop book is in a closed state, and no one can see what is in it, which greatly increases the difficulty. So the risk is too great and not many people actually play it. I came here just to try my luck. Several people looked at Su Tong and the blind man, but they only glanced at them, and then began to choose from the large number of prop books in front of them. These prop books are neatly displayed in the display cabinet in front of you. If you look closely, you will find that each prop book has a slightly different appearance. Props books that have reached the certification level will have some special features. Su Tong also has one. His prop book has a black outer shell and some indescribable patterns. Su Tong himself didn't pay much attention to these small details. But here, these details have become the key to everyone's research. This one. Someone took a fancy to a prop book. There were many light green textures on this prop book. The surface of the prop book was covered with a wooden shell. The owner should be a master of nature. The price of this prop book is not cheap, 3,000 script points. But if there are natural item cards in it, the money is not considered a loss. After the other party handed over the money, he slowly opened the prop book, and other people gathered around to watch. There were 1,251 script points in the prop book, but there were only 2 prop cards in it. Everyone took a closer look and instantly lost interest. 2 extremely ordinary prop cards, even if they were thrown to the exhibition, they would be worth 300 script points. Even with the prop card in the prop book, there was still a blood loss this time. Ha ha ha, third child, you are out of luck. TCH, it was just a try of luck. Faced with the ridicule, the other party just threw the prop card in the prop book into the exhibition recycling box nearby. The recycling box would directly recycle it at the lowest price. The price is not high, but it is convenient and fast. While a few people were chatting, Su Tong had already pulled the blind man to the display cabinet. Su Tong slowly stretched out his hand, not studying the detailed patterns on it at all. Instead, he closed his eyes and gently touched the prop books with his fingers. Crossed. Since you are here to try your luck, then just leave everything to the so-called luck. After his fingers crossed the prop book in front of him, Su Tong asked the blind man in a low voice, "How many script points do you have?" "Not much, 20,000. "Okay, give it all to me." The blind man was startled, but he quickly understood what Su Tong meant and handed over all 20,000 script points to Su Tong decisively. He wasn't worried about whether Su Tong would try to enrich himself after receiving the 20,000 script points. He didn't even have such a big heart, so it was a waste of money. After Su Tong received the script score from the blind man, he quickly began to select one after another in front of the display cabinet. I saw his fingers moving quickly, as if he had already had a purpose, and with a slight hook of his fingers, he pulled out a book of props. The blind man on the side quickly caught the prop book. One book after another, so fast that no one could tell that he was gambling. It was more like making a big purchase in front of the discount cabinet in the supermarket. Huh. Several people who had just purchased a prop book also noticed Su Tong's strange behavior. Looking at the prop books falling one after another in the blind man's arms, several people couldn't help but look at each other. Haha, interesting. Is this here to open the blind box? I don't know, but it's rare to see someone dare to play like this. Each of these props books comes one at a time, with prices ranging from high to low. Once they are taken off the shelf, script points will be automatically deducted, making it difficult to return them. A person like Su Tong is completely blind. Either he is stupid and has too much money, or he is wealthy. In the blink of an eye, 11 props books had fallen into the blind man's arms, and Su Tong's script points had been used up. The heavy 11 props books were placed on the ground by the blind man, and everyone couldn't help but look sideways. Compared with opening blind boxes, it is also fun to watch others open blind boxes. The two of them didn't waste any time. Su Tong took 5 of the books first, while the blind man rounded up the remaining 6. Ha ha ha, little friend, I have taken advantage of you this time. The blind man let out a hoarse laugh, picked up a prop book and opened it. Everyone looked around and saw that as the prop book was opened, a whole page of prop cards appeared in front of the blind man. I suck. When they saw the page of prop cards in the blind man's hand, everyone's breathing became rapid. Ah, it's actually shipped. This is too. Some people were breathing rapidly. Compared with the 2 pitiful prop cards in the prop book just now, this entire page of prop cards was a huge difference. Don't worry. Maybe they are all basic prop cards, worthless. Someone was whispering to comfort himself, but his words were not confident at all. Even if they couldn't see the smile on the blind man's face, everyone could see his slightly trembling palms. Ha 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 ha. I just heard a hoarse laugh coming from the blind man's mouth. Okay, I'll get back this page, little brother, I'll earn the rest with my own blood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinite Script Killing. Author, Guo Shui Gan Xiao. Chapter 582. The blind man raised his hand and saw that 1/3 of the prop cards were put into his pocket. The remaining prop cards and the prop book were thrown into the recycling bin beside him. Although everyone did not see what the prop cards were in the blind man's pocket, seeing that he had put away 1/3 of the prop cards, they were afraid that he had already made enough money to make enough money. Besides, this was only the first book, and the blind man still had 5 props books that he had not opened. Combined with the abnormality when Su Tong selected the prop book just now, everyone couldn't help but move closer to see if this was just a coincidence. Even if you don't open a blind box, watching others open a blind box is a rare pleasure in itself. The blind man was also unambiguous and opened the second props book very quickly. There are no prop cards in this prop book, it is empty, but those with sharp eyes have discovered that there are actually 10,000 script points in this prop book. Hey, small profit. The blind man grinned and was not disappointed with the result. He also had the ability to observe luck and knew that although his luck was good, it was not as bad as the one next to him. Being able to make a small profit is already a very satisfying result. Keep driving. The third one has 8,000 script points. The fourth book has 3,400 script points, plus 2 barely adequate prop cards. The fifth book has 698 script points, but there is a one-time prop card, and the effect is still very strong. It is not a problem to get at least 4,000 script points at the exhibition. For a moment, everyone around them stared with wide eyes. Even though the reward offered was not high, it was already a worthwhile profit. Very few people can open so many props books in a row and gain something from each one. When the blind man opened the last prop book, he was suddenly startled and stared blankly at the prop card in the prop book. Seeing the blind man pause, everyone turned their heads to take a closer look. Hiss. Looking at the prop card lying quietly inside, the surroundings suddenly became quiet. There is only one prop card lying quietly in this prop book. It was a high-end prop card. The prop card showed a dynamic picture of a scimitar, with the blade waving slightly, leaving layers of afterimages in the air. After the afterimages, a full moon rose. This is a dynamic cover that only high-end prop cards can have. Full moon scimitar, left sword, grudge. The small building listened to the spring rain all night. Passive skill, quick knife. The wielder's knife speed increases by 70%. Active skill 1, mirror image of the waning moon. It consumes 30 script points. After activation, it activates the unique characteristics of the full moon scimitar. When used, it summons the mirror image of the waning moon, and each shadow increases the lethality by 5%. Active skill 2, full moon size. Spending 70 script points, all the mirror images overlap, erupting with super explosive lethality. Each waning moon mirror image increases the damage by 15%. Note, this skill needs to be used when the waning moon mirror is activated. Active skill 3, both gods and ghosts are worried. The user sacrifices his lifespan, and once he hits the target, both the gods and ghosts will be worried, and it will be extremely powerful and beneficial. The lethality is based on the number of years of life sacrificed. It can kill heroes in 3 years, cut off rivers in 5 years, shake the world in 10 years, and terrify ghosts and gods in 30 years. Note, who said longevity is not strength? Mission, there is no life in the lonely yin, and soon after the lonely yang, find the full moon scimitar, right hand. This item is infected with resentment, please expel the resentment as soon as possible. The user is haunted by resentment, and each time the skill is activated, the cost of the skill increases by 20%. Everyone looked at the entry for this knife, and their breathing became rapid for a moment. Unfortunately, this is an exhibition, and it is also a casino in the exhibition where the use of force is expressly prohibited. Even when looking at this treasure that is so awesome that it makes people jealous, they can only stare at it dryly with their eyes wide open. It's done. It's really done. Someone finally opened his mouth and let out a scream. Suddenly everyone was excited. Even the blind man gradually came to his senses and hurriedly tried to cover up. Such high-level prop cards still come in sets. Once the corresponding prop cards are gathered together, their power is comparable to that of a divine weapon. But it was too late for the blind man to come to his senses, and everyone could see clearly. Even though they couldn't snatch it, They had directly retained all the information on this prop card through various methods, and sent it directly with the ability of the team channel. This time, it was truly shocking. Everyone who received the information found it a bit incredible. Gambling props book, for most people, is just an Easter egg game in the casino. Although it is rumored that someone gambled on the top prop card, the source of the information is vague. There is no specific place to verify. But today is different. Everyone in the props hall is a witness, and some people even spread the word about this prop card through visual screenshots. Some people even made the news public directly. The gamblers who were still at the gambling table just now, after learning the news, threw away the cards in their hands and immediately rushed over. "Brother, please give me a price. 30,000 script points. How about selling me this knife? Go away. 30,000 is worthy of bidding here, I am 60,000. Someone has started to make an offer to the blind man. The price soared directly to 60,000 script points, and 60,000 script points were exchanged for a prop card. This price can already be called a sky-high price. Compared with ordinary exhibitions for non-certified players, if a prop card can exceed 3,000 script points, it is enough to make people talk about it for a long time. But this price was quickly suppressed, and they paid a lot of money. 100,000 script points, 12 gold badges, and 1 diamond badge. Someone announced the price, and everyone was immediately silent. Naturally, no one could see the face of the bidder, but when the bidder strolled over, the strong aura on his body still made everyone make way for him. This price is extremely rare and sky-high even at high-end exhibitions. Some people speculate that the opponent must be a master of using knives, and it is even possible that he happens to have the matching prop card. If this is really the case, the sky-high price of 100,000 script points is definitely worthy of this prop card. The price is already sky-high. After all, it is stained with resentment. If you want to dispel the resentment, the cost is quite high. Someone whispered. This is one of the risks of betting on tool books. It is said that after the owner of the prop book died, strong resentment entangled the prop card, so that the prop card was contaminated and the script space was not recycled. These grievances will add great negative effects to the prop cards. What's more, because the resentment is too great, once the prop book is opened, there will even be backlash on the spot. Although this kind of thing is rare, it has happened before. The moment someone opened the prop book, he was caught off guard and killed by the prop card inside. Although there is not much resentment on this item card, it is not easy to get rid of it. Diamond level badges need to be exchanged for blessed water, and the success rate is only 30%. People who are unlucky need to exchange 5 or 6 bottles to successfully wash away their grievances. The blind man shook his head and said he did not intend to sell. Even if this item card cannot be matched, it still has extremely powerful lethality. It can be used to counterattack strong enemies at critical moments. Moreover, although the blind man is only willing to put up 20,000 script points to participate in the bet, it does not mean that he only has 20,000 script points. In other words, he does not lack script points at all. Although the price is high, it is not what he wants. Unless it was in exchange for something, he would not hand it over easily. The other party frowned and saw that the blind man was unwilling to trade, so he stopped talking. After all, it was useless to talk more. In a place like this, it was nothing more than harsh words, which were insignificant. Seeing that the blind man was unwilling to take action, the others felt bored for a while, but no one left. Because there is still one person who has not opened the props book. I'm sorry, little friend. Seeing that he had caused such a big disturbance, the blind man couldn't help but apologize to Su Tong with some guilt. If he hadn't reacted too slowly and took away the prop card immediately, I'm afraid it wouldn't have caused such a big turmoil. Now that so many people are watching, although it is impossible to do anything in the casino, it is still a trouble. It's okay, just right. Su Tong looked at the crowd, as if he wanted this effect. He opened the first prop book. Seeing that the props book was empty, everyone couldn't help but sneered, thinking that the luck of these two people was over. However, some people still subconsciously glanced at the script score in the prop book. When I saw the result, my eyes almost popped out. I saw that there were actually 14,000 script points in the prop book. How much does this prop book cost? The maximum script score will not exceed 10,000. It can be said that this prop book directly made at least nearly half of the profit. Then Su Tong opened the second props book. There are still script points in it, 26,000 points. This guy, someone raised their necks and realized that Su Tong and the blind man seemed a little uncomfortable. Opening two books in a row is actually a script score, and the amount is surprisingly large, which is a bit excessive. The script points brought by the two prop books alone have probably paid off, so the remaining prop books will be a huge profit. The blind man was not surprised at all by this result. After all, Su Tong's luck was much better than his. The blind man could be sure that this kid must have used some special props to improve his luck to such a weird extreme. At the same time, he also wanted to see what kind of earth-shattering results such a powerful luck could bring. Under everyone's expectant eyes, Su Tong continued to open the prop book. What makes everyone confused is that it is still a script score, a full 20,000 points. Strange. Could it be that this kid is the god of wealth today? How come he got points for the script as soon as he opened the game? It's hard to say, luck is so mysterious sometimes. Everyone was muttering, but their eyes were always fixed on Su Tong's movements. The fourth book was opened, and there were another 15,000 script points. Everyone was already a little numb now, and they felt more and more that this boy's luck was too evil. Seeing the fifth prop book opened, everyone couldn't help but hold their breath. This time it was finally not a script score, but a prop card. Infinite Script Killing. Author, Guo Shui Gan Xiao. Chapter 583. It's rewarding. When they saw a rare prop card, everyone couldn't wait to put their faces on it. They wanted to see what kind of treasure they could get out of the bet, but they also secretly cursed that this guy must be unlucky. It was an ordinary prop card with no dynamic cover. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but secretly breathe a sigh of relief, thinking that this guy's luck had ended here. But when Su Tong displayed the entry on this prop card openly, everyone's pupils couldn't help but shrink sharply. This kid cheated. Someone's head was buzzing when they saw the entry. It's not that there aren't some top-quality prop cards in ordinary prop cards. Even some seemingly ordinary prop cards have strong potential to become core prop cards. The prop card that Su Tong gambled out is even rarer, because it is an extremely rare and top-quality card. Sakaden's Record Boots. It is said that these are the shoes that record the legendary life of Sarkardin and are also his witnesses. Passive skill, Pilgrim. The holy light skills are increased by 40%. During the pilgrimage time, the cooldown time of all holy light skills is halved. Active skill 1, Wolf of Eastern Expedition. Spend 80 script points to obtain a set of holy light armor, which gains strength based on the number of holy light prop cards the holder has. The higher the quantity, the higher the intensity. Duration, 4 hours. Cooling time, 1 week. Active skill 2, Saint's Footprints. It consumes 40 script points. After activation, the ground stepped on will be ignited by the holy fire. The area and damage of the holy fire are determined by the number of holy light prop cards of the holder. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooling time, 8 hours. Looking at this prop card, someone's breathing has become rapid. There is no doubt that the effect of this prop card cannot be compared with the blind man's full moon scimitar. But it is undeniable that this prop card is no less than a small artifact for players of the sacred system. The more holy light prop cards you hold, the more powerful the increase will be. Especially the holy light armor, at critical moments, with this armor, it is enough to face the siege of any powerful enemy without falling behind at all. Did these two guys eat some props? How come they are so lucky? I suspect they may be agents sent by the casino. It must be a trust, otherwise I wouldn't see them selling such props. How could anyone have such luck? Facing everyone's doubts, the blind man was very confused and thought to himself, that shouldn't be the case. This kid is so lucky, why can't his things be as good as mine? When the blind man was confused, Su Tong asked, no one needs it. Take away the 20,000 script points. 20,000. Everyone was in a trance for a moment, and then they heard someone shout, I want it. As he said that, he was about to rush over to trade. I'll pay 30,000. But someone immediately shouted out a higher price. The increase of this prop card is indeed very strong, even compared to those high-end prop cards. It's just the price that makes many people give up their thoughts. After all, 30,000 script points is not a small amount of money. Just when he was hesitating and entangled, Su Tong had already directly traded this prop card for 30,000 script points. In this way, all 5 prop books have been opened. Although the luck is good, compared with the full moon scimitar in the blind man's hand, it is still not eye-catching. But some people made a rough calculation in their minds and realized that this was not unknown, but a shock. The revenue from the 5 prop books has reached an astonishing 105,000 script points. When I think about Su Tong having just opened 5 props books, and the price of each props book is 5,000 script points, this is a blood profit of 80,000 script points. It's a huge profit. Just when everyone was shocked by this number, Su Tong turned around and continued to select on the display cabinet. Look, this guy is crazy and still gambling. Seeing this scene, everyone was instantly excited, even the casino was alarmed. A full moon scimitar is enough to become a legend in the casino and make people talk about it for a long time. Then someone offered 100,000 script points in one breath. Such a record was also selected by one person. In other words, with only tens of thousands of script points as capital, this person has now issued a prop booklet worth 200,000 script points. It would be strange to say that the casino was not alarmed. After all, this is not a welfare center, otherwise why would you use the feng shui pattern to secretly bring bad luck to bad people? Seeing that Su Tong continued, not only the people around him felt crazy. Even the faces of the people in the casino sank to the bottom. In the corner, the manager in charge of the casino saw Su Tong walking back to the display cabinet and immediately pulled the attendant beside him, quick. Go and invite Mr. Wu. It is said that some people gamble and get treasures. In fact, it is a kind of invisible publicity for the casino. It is gambling in the first place. There are losses and wins. It is normal. What the casino is not afraid of is that you win. If you win 10,000 today, you will lose tomorrow. A bankrupt. There will even be specially trained pig-killing plates for this purpose, deliberately letting you win. What? Stop coming after I win? Well, after the casino learns your thoughts, it silently gives you a thumbs up. The last person who lost everything thought the same thing. He is not the first to be smart, and he is destined not to be the last. However, if Su Tong wins like this, the casino can't stand it. Good guy, you're not here to gamble, you're here to gather wool, so you should just grab a place and gather wool to death. It's like a lottery. When people know that the first prize, second prize, and third prize are all gone, all that's left is drawing paper. Who will go to the lottery? Even the blind man warned, my little friend, prosperity will inevitably lead to decline. You will be very risky if you do this. Even if the blind man knew that Su Tong's luck had reached the extreme at this moment, luck could collapse at any time due to an inadvertent move. The blind man's eyes have seen this example of how everything goes from strength to strength not once or twice. Su Tong just smiled faintly when he heard this. His expression under the mask was as calm as an insignificant passerby. My life is on the line. If I don't gamble, I won't lose my blood. His voice was calm, without any emotion, but anyone could hear the madness behind this understatement. The blind man was at a loss for words and couldn't help but take a step back. As a person who can rely on luck to make a living, he naturally understood the meaning of Su Tong's words immediately. Sure enough, he did use some kind of special prop. This kid is not betting on luck, he is betting on his own life. The blind man was shocked in his heart, but he couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. It wasn't that he was crazy enough, but that he was already old. When he was in Macau Casino, he had the same mentality. 1, 2, 3. I saw Su Tong running his fingers across it, often not looking at the details. After selecting something, he just flicked his finger and took down the book of props. Even people who have seen it once can't help but feel thirsty when they see the scene again. Some people looked at the prop books that fell on the ground, and their scalps went numb. People who hang out in casinos are by no means short of money. There are many people who spend 20,000 yuan to gamble and relax. Everyone knows the nature of the casino. But it's only today that I have truly opened my eyes. I didn't expect that someone would come to the casino to purchase goods. Is this guy cheating? Didn't you say that you need to study the texture of the prop book in detail? I think it's all just farts. Those who are lucky are the ones who are really awesome. All skills are fake. Not necessarily. If he chooses like this, why do I feel that most of the time it will be empty? People were shocked by Su Tong's huge gamble. When I saw the selected prop books on the ground, my eyes were filled with anticipation, nervousness, and curiosity. At the same time, a figure was hiding in the shadows in the corner. After taking a look at Su Tong, he said to the casino manager behind him, 3 yangs are in full bloom, and the green dragon is turning into spring. No wonder. Mr. Wu, didn't you say that the white tiger can suppress the green dragon? Isn't it possible that our white tiger bureau can't suppress him? The casino manager is well aware of Mr. Wu's strength, and the casino's white tiger game is exactly the work of Mr. Wu. Since the white tiger bureau was deployed, the casino's revenue has doubled several times. Never met an opponent. Now that he missed it, is the other party also a certified Feng Shui player? Mr. Wu glanced at the casino manager with disgust, and of course he would not explain to him the power of luck like Qinglong Huachun. Wouldn't that make you look incompetent? I just heard him sneer, it doesn't matter, there is still a killing move in this white tiger game. It's the backup move I left behind. What I'm waiting for is this kind of kid who doesn't know how to live or die. Let me use some tricks to make this kid die. As Mr. Wu spoke, he took out a compass in his hand. He led the manager out and walked a few steps outside. After checking the compass position, he made a hand with his fingers and spat out a bloody arrow on the wall. At the same time, the lights in the entire casino also turned dark red under the instructions of the casino manager. As the lights changed, everyone in the casino shivered violently. Su Tong, who was selecting the prop book, frowned, and the direction of his fingers could not help but shift slightly. Not good. Behu coughed up blood, someone has messed with the Feng Shui bureau. The blind man suddenly raised his head and looked at the red lights outside. His expression changed greatly, and he cursed in his heart that he couldn't afford to play in the casino. Then he pinched his fingers, took out a bagua mirror, and put it directly on Su Tong's back. Nigani Abala, Shat. Mr. Wu recited a strange spell in his mouth, and the blood on the wall suddenly evaporated. Su Tong suddenly felt someone bump into him behind him, and heard a pop sound. The blind man standing next to Su Tong swayed, vomited blood and fell to the ground, cursing in his heart that he was unlucky. Although my Bagua mirror blocked half of it, it couldn't block the other half. Once Su Tong's Qinglong Qi is broken, his own luck will be counterattacked, and half of his life may be lost here. Boy, hold on. However, just when the blind man opened his eyes wide and was about to pass out, his two pairs of pupils suddenly seemed to see something incredible. The blind man was refreshed and couldn't help but scream in his heart, "Hey, this is really evil. Yeah, that wicked guy used this thing as a token."